The luxury bag industry is experiencing a seismic shift unlike anything we have seen before. Once untouchable brands that commanded weightless and astronomical prices are now facing declining sales, store closures, and waning consumer interest. Today, I am going to walk you through 15 luxury bag brands that are losing customers at an alarming rate and explain exactly why this is happening. The luxury market has traditionally been resilient, even during economic downturns, but something different is happening now. Multiple factors are converging to create a perfect storm for these high-end brands, from changing consumer preferences and sustainability concerns to the rise of the second-hand market and shifting demographics. Let's dive into which brands are struggling the most and why their once loyal customers are walking away. First on our list is Louis Vuitton. Yes, you heard that right. Even the mighty LV is showing cracks in its monogrammed armor. While still profitable overall, Louis Vuitton has seen a concerning trend in its core markets. The brand's parent company, LVMH, reported a 9% decline in fashion and leather goods sales in the first quarter of 2025 compared to the previous year. This marks their third consecutive quarter of declining growth. What's happening? For starters, Louis Vuitton has fallen victim to its own ubiquity. The brand that once represented exclusivity now appears on every street corner, with the iconic monogram pattern becoming almost too recognizable. Luxury consumers are increasingly seeking uniqueness and under-the-radar options. Additionally, Louis Vuitton has raised its prices by nearly 60% since 2019, far outpacing inflation, which has pushed away even their affluent customer base. When a never-full tote that cost $1,200 5 years ago now retails for over $2,000, consumers are questioning the value proposition. Next up is Gucci, which is experiencing perhaps the most dramatic fall from grace. After years of explosive growth under creative director Alessandro Michele, Gucci has been in a tailspin since his departure in late 2022. Kering, Gucci's parent company, reported that the brand's sales plummeted by 18% in the first quarter of 2025, following a 15% drop in the previous quarter. This is particularly alarming for a brand that once accounted for nearly 60% of Kering's profits. Gucci's maximalist aesthetic that dominated fashion from 2015 to 2021 has fallen out of favor as consumers embrace more understated luxury. The brand's attempt to pivot under new creative direction has confused loyal customers while failing to attract new ones. Furthermore, Gucci has been slow to adapt to the growing preference for timeless designs over seasonal trends. Their iconic bags like the Dionysus and Marmont, once impossible to keep in stock, are now readily available and increasingly spotted in outlet stores. Third on our list is Chanel, which might come as a surprise given their seemingly unshakable position in the luxury hierarchy. However, Chanel's aggressive price increases have finally reached a breaking point with consumers. Since 2019, the price of a classic flat bag has more than doubled, with the medium size now retailing for over $10,000. These increases, coupled with declining quality according to longtime customers, have created significant backlash. Chanel's foot traffic in major markets like New York, Paris, and Hong Kong has decreased by approximately 22% compared to 2023. The brand's exclusivity strategy has backfired, with many loyal customers feeling priced out and turning to vintage options or competitors. Additionally, Chanel has been slow to embrace digital innovation, with a reluctance to fully commit to e-commerce that has cost them younger consumers who expect seamless online shopping experiences. Fourth is Balenciaga, which has experienced perhaps the most dramatic fall from grace following a series of controversial advertising campaigns in late 2022 and early 2023. The brand, once a darling of the fashion-forward crowd under Demna Gvasalia's direction, has struggled to recover its reputation and sales. Balenciaga's parent company Kering reported that the brand's sales declined by 20% in 2024, with an even steeper drop of 25% in the first quarter of 2025. Beyond the controversy, Balenciaga's avant-garde designs have increasingly been viewed as unwearable and impractical by luxury consumers seeking longevity in their investments. Their city bag, once a celebrity staple, has fallen out of favor, and newer designs have failed to capture the same cultural cachet. The brand's attempt to pivot to more classic designs has been met with skepticism from both loyal customers and potential new ones. Fifth on our list is Prada, which, despite critical acclaim for its runway collections, has struggled to translate that success to its handbag division. Prada's leather goods sales have declined by 12% in the past year, with particular weakness in the Asian market where it once dominated. The brand's minimalist aesthetic, which once set it apart, now faces stiff competition from newer luxury players offering similar designs at lower price points. Prada's attempt to reposition itself as an ultra-luxury brand with corresponding price increases has alienated its traditional customer base. The Galleria and Re-Edition bags, once bestsellers, have lost market share to competitors. Additionally, Prada has been criticized for inconsistent quality control, with customers reporting issues with hardware and leather on bags costing thousands of dollars. Sixth is Dior, which, despite strong overall performance within the LVMH portfolio, is showing concerning signs in its handbag division. The brand's Lady Dior and saddlebags, which experienced a resurgence in popularity from 2018 to 2022, are now seeing declining demand. Dior's strategy of releasing countless variations of the same designs has led to consumer fatigue, and the brand's identity has become somewhat diluted. Dior has also faced criticism for its aggressive influencer marketing strategy, which some luxury consumers feel has cheapened the brand's image. The ubiquity of Dior bags on social media has diminished their exclusivity appeal. Furthermore, the brand's price increases of approximately 30% since 2020 have pushed many aspirational luxury consumers toward the second-hand market instead of purchasing new. Seventh on our list is Fendi, which has struggled to maintain relevance in a rapidly evolving luxury landscape. The brand's iconic baguette bag experienced a revival following a collaboration with Carrie Bradshaw in the Sex and the City reboot. But that momentum has been short-lived. Fendi's parent company, LVMH, doesn't break out individual brand performance, but industry analysts estimate that Fendi's handbag sales have declined by approximately 15% year over year. Fendi's challenge lies in its unclear brand positioning, caught between ultra-luxury players like Hermès and more accessible luxury brands like Coach. The brand's heavy reliance on logo-driven designs has fallen out of favor as consumers shift toward more subtle luxury signifiers. Additionally, Fendi has been slow to embrace sustainability initiatives, which has cost them environmentally conscious luxury consumers. Eighth is Bottega Veneta, which, after experiencing a remarkable renaissance under creative director Daniel Lee from 2018 to 2021, has struggled to maintain that momentum. The brand's distinctive intrecciato, weave, and pouch bags became ubiquitous on social media, but the novelty has worn off. Bottega Veneta's parent company Kering reported that the brand's sales declined by 8% in the first quarter of 2025. Bottega Veneta's challenge is the double-edged sword of trend-driven success. Styles that rise quickly in popularity often fall just as fast. The brand's attempt to establish more timeless designs under new creative direction has yet to resonate with consumers at the same level. Additionally, the brand's price positioning at the higher end of the luxury spectrum has made it particularly vulnerable to economic uncertainty. Ninth on our list is Valentino, which has struggled to establish a distinctive identity in the crowded luxury handbag market. The brand's rock stud line, which was its cash cow for nearly a decade, has lost its appeal as fashion has moved away from edgy, hardware-heavy designs. Valentino's recent acquisition by the Kering Group signals a recognition of these challenges and the need for a strategic overhaul. Valentino's handbag sales have declined by approximately 18% in the past year, with particular weakness in the North American market. The brand's attempt to pivot to more minimalist designs has put it in direct competition with established players in that aesthetic, without a clear point of differentiation. Additionally, Valentino has faced distribution challenges with inconsistent availability across markets. 10th is Burberry, which has undergone multiple creative direction changes in recent years, resulting in a confused brand identity. The British heritage brand reported a 20% decline in leather goods sales in its most recent fiscal quarter, continuing a troubling trend. Burberry's iconic check pattern, once a status symbol, has struggled to resonate with younger luxury consumers who associate it with the brand's troubled period in the early 2000s when it became overly accessible. Burberry's attempts to reposition itself as a high luxury player have been hampered by inconsistent design direction and quality perception issues. The brand's handbags lack the iconic status of competitors like Chanel or Louis Vuitton, making them less attractive as investment pieces. Additionally, Burberry has faced challenges in the crucial Chinese market, where local luxury brands are gaining market share. 11th on our list is Celine, which under Hedi Slimane's direction since 2018 has alienated many of the brand's longtime customers. Celine's dramatic shift from Phoebe Philo's minimalist, intellectual aesthetic to Slimane's rock and roll-inspired designs has divided luxury consumers. The brand's handbag sales have declined by approximately 10% year-over-year, according to industry analysts. Celine's challenge is that it abandoned a loyal customer base without fully securing a new one. The brand's iconic bags from the Philo era, like the luggage and classic box, have been de-emphasized in favor of new designs that haven't achieved the same cult status. Additionally, Celine's price increases have been among the most aggressive in the industry, with some styles seeing jumps of over 40% since 2020. 12th is Louis, which despite critical acclaim under creative director Jonathan Anderson, has struggled to translate runway success into sustained commercial performance. The brand's puzzle and hammock bags experienced strong momentum from 2018 to 2022, but sales have plateaued and begun to decline in recent quarters. Louis's parent company, LVMH, doesn't break out individual brand performance, but industry analysts estimate a 7% decline in handbag sales year over year. Louis's challenge is its limited brand awareness outside of fashion-forward circles. Despite innovative designs and craftsmanship, the Spanish brand lacks the global recognition of its competitors. Additionally, Louis's price positioning has crept upward, putting it in competition with more established luxury players without the same heritage cachet. 13th on our list is Saint Laurent, which after years of consistent growth under Anthony Vaccarello's direction is showing signs of slowing momentum. The brand's parent company Kering reported that Saint Laurent's overall sales grew by just 2% in the first quarter of 2025, a significant deceleration from double-digit growth in previous years. Within that, handbag sales are estimated to have declined by approximately 5%. Saint Laurent's challenge is that its aesthetic, while distinctive, has remained largely unchanged for several years, leading to consumer fatigue. The brand's iconic bags like the Sac de Jour and Lou Camera bag are facing increased competition from both established luxury players and emerging brands offering similar aesthetics at lower price points. Additionally, Saint Laurent has been slower than competitors to embrace sustainable materials and practices. 14th is Mulberry, the British heritage brand that has struggled to find its footing in an increasingly competitive luxury landscape. Mulberry reported a 15% decline in sales for the 2024 fiscal year, with an even steeper drop in profitability. The brand's iconic Bayswater bag, once a staple for professional women, has lost market share to both higher-end luxury options and more affordable contemporary brands. Mulberry's challenge is its unclear positioning, caught between accessible luxury and high luxury without a distinctive enough offering at either level. The brand's attempts to move upmarket with higher prices have not been supported by a corresponding increase in perceived value or desirability. Additionally, Mulberry has faced distribution challenges, with an over-reliance on department stores that are themselves struggling. Finally, 15th on our list is Coach, which, while technically in the accessible luxury category, has been attempting to reposition itself as a more premium player. Coach's parent company Tapestry reported that the brand's sales declined by 5% in the most recent quarter, with weakness particularly in the North American market. Coach's strategy of reducing outlet presence and increasing mainline prices has yielded mixed results. Coach's challenge is overcoming its history of heavy discounting and outlet presence, which has damaged its luxury credentials. The brand's attempt to elevate its image through collaborations with artists and designers has generated social media buzz, but hasn't translated to sustained sales growth. Additionally, Coach faces intense competition from other accessible luxury brands like Michael Kors and Kate Spade, as well as emerging direct-to-consumer brands with compelling value propositions. So what's behind this industry-wide struggle? Several factors are converging to create unprecedented challenges for luxury bag brands. First, there's a significant shift in consumer preferences. The ostentatious logo-driven luxury of the 2010s has given way to a more subtle, understated aesthetic. Younger luxury consumers in particular are seeking brands that signal their taste rather than their wealth. Second, the rise of the secondhand market has fundamentally changed the luxury ecosystem. Platforms like The Real, Vestiaire Collective, and Rebag have made pre-owned luxury bags more accessible and acceptable than ever before. Why pay full retail when you can get a gently used version for 30 to 50% less? This has been particularly impactful for brands that have aggressively raised prices, as the value proposition of buying new becomes increasingly questionable. Third, sustainability concerns are influencing purchasing decisions. Luxury consumers are increasingly questioning the environmental and ethical implications of their purchases. Brands that haven't made meaningful commitments to sustainability are losing environmentally conscious consumers to more responsible alternatives. Fourth, the democratization of design has eroded the exclusivity of luxury aesthetics. Contemporary brands and fast fashion retailers can now quickly produce bags that capture the essence of luxury designs at a fraction of the price. When a $200 bag looks remarkably similar to a $2,000 one, many consumers are opting for the former. Fifth, changing demographics and wealth distribution are reshaping the luxury market. Millennials and Gen Z now account for a significant portion of luxury spending, and their preferences and purchasing behaviors differ markedly from previous generations. These younger consumers are more likely to research extensively before purchasing, more willing to buy secondhand, and more interested in brands with clear values and purpose. Finally, the economic uncertainty of the past few years has made even affluent consumers more conscious of value. Luxury bags are increasingly viewed as investments, and consumers are scrutinizing quality, craftsmanship, and resale potential before making purchases. Brands that have compromised on quality while raising prices are particularly vulnerable in this environment. What does this mean for the future of luxury bags? We're likely seeing the beginning of a significant industry restructuring. Brands that can adapt to changing consumer preferences, embrace sustainability, offer genuine craftsmanship and quality, and provide a compelling value proposition will survive and potentially thrive. Those that cling to outdated business models and rely solely on heritage or logo recognition will continue to struggle. For consumers, this shift presents both challenges and opportunities. On one hand, beloved brands may disappear or fundamentally change. On the other hand, increased competition and the need to win back customers may lead to more innovation, better quality, and potentially even more reasonable pricing strategies. The luxury bag landscape of 2025 is markedly different from that of even 5 years ago, and the brands that recognize and respond to these changes will be the ones that reverse their declining fortunes. For the rest, the writing may already be on the wall. What do you think about these changes in the luxury bag market? Are you surprised by any of the brands on this list? Have you noticed changes in quality or value from your favorite luxury brands? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the evolving world of luxury fashion and consumer trends. In the fast-paced world of luxury fashion, staying relevant is a constant battle. Brand popularity ebbs and flows with changing consumer preferences, social media trends, and evolving cultural attitudes toward conspicuous consumption. Today, we're diving into the fascinating realm of luxury handbags to explore 15 once-coveted brands that have significantly fallen from grace in recent years. As we navigate through the year, the luxury bag landscape has transformed dramatically, leaving some heritage names struggling to maintain their former glory. The luxury handbag market has always been a fascinating barometer of consumer behavior. A decade ago, showing off the latest "it" bag was the ultimate status symbol. Today, younger consumers are approaching luxury purchases with a more discerning eye, focusing on factors like sustainability, craftsmanship, brand values, and investment potential rather than simply following logo-centric trends. This shift has created winners and losers in the luxury space, with some once untouchable names now gathering dust on department store shelves. Let's start with Michael Kors, a brand that was once seemingly unstoppable. In the early 2010, Michael Kors bags were everywhere, with their distinctive MK logo medallions and accessible luxury positioning. The brand's rapid expansion strategy initially paid off with explosive growth, but it ultimately led to market saturation. By opening too many outlet stores and offering frequent discounts, Michael Kors diluted its luxury positioning. Today's luxury consumer, especially Gen Z and younger millennials, views the brand as overexposed and lacking exclusivity. Sales data from the first quarter of this year shows a continued decline in handbag revenue for Capri Holdings, Michael Kors' parent company, with a 15% year-over-year drop in the accessories category. Next up is Coach, another American accessible luxury brand that has struggled to maintain its cachet. While Coach has made commendable efforts to reposition itself through its Coach Redefined initiative launched in late 2023, its core handbag business continues to face challenges. The brand's ubiquitous C logo designs became too mainstream during its aggressive expansion in the 2000s and 2010. Despite recent collaborations with celebrities like Jennifer Lopez and design innovations, Coach bags no longer command the prestige they once did. The brand's identity crisis has left it caught between true luxury and mass market, with neither segment fully embracing its offerings. Recent market research shows that, among luxury consumers under 35, Coach ranks near the bottom in terms of desirability for new purchases. Third on our list is DKNY, a brand that once defined urban American luxury. Donna Karan's Diffusion line has faced significant challenges adapting to the current luxury market. After being acquired by G3 Apparel Group in 2016, DKNY lost much of its design identity and innovative edge. The brand's handbag line, once known for blending practicality with New York chic, has become increasingly generic and fails to excite today's luxury consumer. With minimal social media presence compared to competitors and little innovation in their leather goods category, DKNY bags have virtually disappeared from the luxury conversation. Moving to Dooney & Bourke, this American heritage brand once competed with Coach for dominance in the accessible luxury segment. Known for their sturdy all-weather leather and distinctive duck logo, Dooney & Bourke bags were status symbols throughout the 80s and 90s. However, the brand has struggled to modernize its designs while maintaining its heritage appeal. Their Disney and sports team collaborations, while creating temporary sales spikes, have further confused the brand's luxury positioning. By this year, the brand has become largely irrelevant to serious luxury handbag collectors, with secondary market prices showing minimal resale value compared to their original retail prices. Fifth on our list is Furla, the Italian brand once praised for its minimalist aesthetic and quality leather at a relatively accessible price point. Furla's problem has been differentiation in an increasingly crowded market. With brands like Polène, Mansur Gavriel, and Strathberry offering similar quality with more distinct design identities, Furla has struggled to articulate why consumers should choose their products. Their core designs have remained largely unchanged for years, creating a perception of stagnation. The brand's global retail footprint has shrunk by 28% since 2022, signaling its diminishing appeal in the luxury handbag sector. Sixth is Marc by Marc Jacobs, a diffusion line that was actually discontinued in 2015, but whose bags remained in circulation for years afterward. Marc Jacobs himself has struggled to maintain relevance in the handbag category. While the designer's ready-to-wear collections continue to receive critical acclaim, his handbag offerings have failed to capture the imagination of luxury consumers in the way competitors like Bottega Veneta or Loewe have managed. The brand's attempt to recapture magic with the re-release of the Stam bag in 2023 generated initial buzz but failed to translate into sustained sales, highlighting the challenge of reviving past glories in today's forward-looking market. Kate Spade, number 7 on our list, presents an interesting case study. Following the founder's tragic death in 2018, the brand struggled to maintain its playful, feminine identity under corporate ownership. While Kate Spade still performs relatively well in entry-level luxury, its position has been significantly challenged by newer direct-to-consumer brands with similar aesthetic sensibilities but fresher approaches. The brand's reliance on heavy discounting, particularly in outlet channels, has damaged its luxury credentials. By this year, Kate Spade bags have become viewed as starter luxury, rather than aspirational purchases, with secondary market data showing minimal retention of value. 8 on our list is Tory Burch, a brand that exploded in popularity during the 2010s with its distinctive logo hardware and accessible price point. While Tory Burch continues to perform well in other categories, particularly footwear, its handbag line has lost significant market share to both higher-end luxury brands and newer contemporary labels. The brand's signature aesthetic, once fresh and distinctive, now reads as dated to younger luxury consumers. Despite attempts to elevate their leather goods offerings with the Eleanor collection launched in 2024, Tory Burch bags are increasingly viewed as past their prime in the luxury hierarchy. Number 9 brings us to Longchamp, the French brand whose Le Pliage nylon tote became one of the most recognizable bags globally. While Le Pliage continues to sell as a practical staple, Longchamp has failed to translate this success into excitement for its leather goods offerings. The brand has become pigeonholed as a producer of functional travel bags rather than desirable luxury items. Attempts to collaborate with influencers and designers have produced only temporary spikes in interest. By this year, Longchamp's position in the luxury handbag market has diminished considerably, with the brand focusing more on travel accessories than competing with premier handbag houses. Moving to number 10, we find Fossil Group's luxury experiment, Burberry. Wait, that's not right. Fossil never owned Burberry. Let me correct that. Number 10 is actually the Fossil Group's attempt at luxury with brands like Fossil 1954 and their Swiss-made watch division. While not primarily a handbag company, Fossil's leather goods division once held aspirational status at department stores. By this year, their handbag offerings have completely lost any luxury positioning they once enjoyed, with the company focusing instead on smartwatches and accessible fashion accessories rather than competing in the premium handbag space. At number 11, we have Tod's, an Italian luxury brand known primarily for its driving shoes, but which also maintained a significant handbag business. Tod's has struggled to connect with younger luxury consumers despite its impeccable craftsmanship and heritage. The brand's minimalist aesthetic, once considered timeless, now reads as simply lacking imagination in comparison to more innovative luxury houses. With the brand's acquisition by LVMH in 2024, there's potential for revitalization. But current market data shows Tod's handbags continuing to decline in popularity and secondary market value throughout early this year. 12th on our list is Valentino, which might surprise some luxury observers. While Valentino remains a powerhouse in ready-to-wear and shoes, its handbag division has struggled to establish iconic, must-have styles that resonate with today's luxury consumer. The brand's rock stud line, once wildly popular, has become oversaturated and identified with the 2010s fashion era. Under new creative direction since 2023, Valentino is attempting to rebuild its handbag business, but it faces an uphill battle against more established leather goods powerhouses. Recent market share data shows Valentino commanding less than 2% of the premium luxury handbag segment this year, a significant drop from its position 5 years earlier. Lucky number 13 on our list is Escada, a German luxury brand that was a status symbol throughout the 80s and 90s. After multiple changes in ownership and a bankruptcy filing in 2020, Escada's handbag division has virtually disappeared from the luxury conversation. The brand's revival attempts have focused primarily on ready-to-wear, leaving its once significant leather goods category languishing. By this year, Escada bags have become vintage curiosities rather than contemporary luxury options, with even resale platforms categorizing them as vintage rather than contemporary items. At 14, we find Celine, or rather Celine without the accent mark, as it's been styled since Hedi Slimane took over creative direction from February 2018 to October 2024. While Celine remains a significant player in luxury fashion overall, its handbag division has lost the cult status it enjoyed under previous creative director Phoebe Philo. Slimane's redesign of the brand's aesthetic alienated many loyal Celine bag collectors, creating a secondary market where old Celine commands higher prices than current productions. The brand's repositioning has created a vacuum that brands like the Row and Bottega Veneta have successfully filled. While Celine still produces quality handbags, the fervent collector base that once defined the brand has largely moved on to other designers. Finally, at number 15, we have Mulberry, the British heritage brand that once defined accessible luxury in the UK market. Mulberry's signature Bayswater and Alexa bags were must-haves in the 2000s and early 2010, but the brand has struggled to evolve beyond these iconic styles. Multiple changes in creative direction and price positioning have confused consumers about what Mulberry represents in today's luxury landscape. While maintaining a loyal following in the UK, the brand's global relevance in the premium handbag space has diminished significantly. Recent financial reports show Mulberry's handbag sales down 23% year-over-year in the first quarter of this year, reflecting its continued struggle to recapture its former status. So, what's behind these shifting tides in luxury bag consumption? Several key factors are at play. First, today's luxury consumers are increasingly drawn to brands with strong sustainability credentials. Many heritage brands have been slow to adapt to this demand, creating opportunities for newer, purpose-driven labels to capture market share. Second, social media has fundamentally changed how luxury bags are marketed and perceived. Brands that excel at creating Instagram-worthy moments and cultivating relationships with the right influencers have gained advantage, while those relying on traditional marketing channels have lost visibility. Third, there's been a significant shift away from obvious logos towards subtle signifiers of luxury. Brands whose identity was built around recognizable logos have struggled to pivot to the more understated aesthetic preferred by today's sophisticated luxury consumers. Fourth, direct-to-consumer brands have disrupted the traditional luxury business model by offering quality products without the markup associated with extensive retail networks and advertising budgets. This has put pressure on established brands to justify their premium pricing. Finally, there's the matter of exclusivity. Brands that expanded too aggressively, opened too many outlet stores, or discounted too frequently have damaged their luxury positioning, often irreparably. In the luxury sector, perception is reality, and once a brand is seen as accessible to everyone, it loses its aspirational quality. What's particularly interesting is how the second-hand market has become a true barometer of a luxury bag's staying power. Resale platforms like The Real and Vestiaire Collective provide transparent data on which brands maintain value over time. Bags from houses like Hermès, Chanel, and certain Louis Vuitton models continue to command premium prices on the secondary market, while many of the brands we've discussed today sell for a fraction of their retail prices. This doesn't mean these 15 brands are doomed forever. Fashion is cyclical, and with the right creative vision and strategic repositioning, any of these names could stage a comeback. We've seen successful brand revivals before. Gucci was considered nearly irrelevant before Alessandro Michele's reinvention in 2015, and Bottega Veneta experienced a remarkable renaissance under Daniel Lee beginning in 2018. The luxury handbag market of this year rewards authenticity, craftsmanship, and distinct creative vision rather than heritage alone. Brands that understand this fundamental shift and adapt accordingly will thrive, while those clinging to outdated notions of what luxury means will continue to struggle for relevance. What's your take on these luxury bag brands? Do you still carry any of them? Or have you moved on to other designers? Has sustainability become a factor in your luxury purchases? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis of the luxury handbag market, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more insights into the evolving world of fashion and luxury goods. What if I told you the designer bag you saved months for is actually a status symbol the truly wealthy wouldn't touch? Ever wonder why the ultra-rich laugh at brands middle-class shoppers worship? Today, we are going to look at 15 luxury brands that actual millionaires and billionaires avoid, but middle-class consumers can't seem to resist. This isn't just about taste, it's about the psychology of wealth and the fascinating way status symbols operate in different social classes. Let's start with Michael Kors. Once the darling of American luxury, Michael Kors committed the cardinal sin in high-end retail: overexposure. By 2015, their signature MK logo bags were everywhere, selling at outlets and department stores at increasingly discounted prices. The wealthy elite abandoned the brand when it became accessible to the masses. Today, the brand's parent company Capri Holdings has seen their stock plummet 83% from their 2021 highs, and true connoisseurs see Michael Kors as aspirational luxury, code for not real luxury. Next up, Coach. Founded in 1941 as a high-end leather goods manufacturer, Coach's downfall in elite circles began in the early 2000s with rapid expansion and outlet proliferation. While their recent rebranding efforts under creative director Stuart Vevers have improved design credibility, the damage was done. The ultra-wealthy now see Coach as entry-level luxury, with most items priced under $500. Pocket change for the truly rich. Meanwhile, middle-class shoppers still view that iconic C pattern as the pinnacle of success. Then there's Tiffany & Co. Yes, the iconic blue box jeweler has lost its luster among the ultra-wealthy. After LVMH's $15.8 billion acquisition in 2021, the brand launched controversial campaigns featuring celebrities like Beyoncé and Jay-Z that alienated traditional clients. The wealthy now prefer more exclusive jewelers like Graff, Buccellati, or bespoke pieces. Yet middle-class consumers still line up outside Tiffany stores for that signature blue box, often spending on silver pieces under $500 that wealthy clients wouldn't consider. Fourth on our list, Rolex. Shocked? Don't be. While Rolex makes exceptional timepieces, they produce around 1 million watches annually. For the ultra-wealthy, this is mass production. They're gravitating instead toward limited production independent watchmakers like F.P. Journe or Philippe Dufour, where pieces start at $150,000 and waiting lists can last years. Meanwhile, middle-class consumers save for years for an entry-level Rolex, only for the true connoisseurs to see it as the watch you buy when you don't know watches. Gucci, under Alessandro Michele's direction from 2015 to 2022, became too flashy, too logo-heavy, and too trendy for old money tastes. The wealthy prefer subtle luxury, garments where only those in the know recognize the craftsmanship. After Michelle's departure, Gucci's sales slumped 14% in Q1 2023. Yet middle-class consumers continue to splurge on GG-covered items as milestone purchases, unaware that the rich have moved on. Coming in at number 6, Armani Exchange and Emporio Armani. While Giorgio Armani's main line remains respected, these diffusion lines are avoided by the wealthy. They view them as dilutions of the brand intended for mass market. In 2022, Armani's diffusion lines accounted for over 65% of the company's revenue, clearly not coming from the ultra-rich. The middle class, however, proudly sports the AX logo as a status symbol. Louis Vuitton's monogram canvas items, number 7 on our list, are another surprise. While Louis Vuitton remains prestigious, wealthy clients avoid logo-covered products, especially the brown monogram canvas lines. They opt instead for the brand's more expensive, logo-free leather goods or limited artist collaborations. The canvas items, starting around $1,500, are specifically marketed to the aspirational middle class. In fact, canvas products drive approximately 70% of Louis Vuitton's $15 billion annual revenue. Versace, number 8, is considered too ostentatious by old money standards. After Michael Kors' parent company acquired Versace for $2.1 billion in 2018, the brand increased production of accessible items bearing the Medusa logo. The truly wealthy now see Versace as new money, a subtle but devastating critique in elite circles. Yet middle-class shoppers still view Versace as the ultimate symbol of luxury and success. 9th, Tag Heuer watches. Once respected in all circles, Tag Heuer's aggressive marketing partnerships with celebrities and positioning as an entry-level luxury watch has pushed the wealthy toward independent watchmakers or heritage brands like Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet. Tag's average price point of $2,500 to $5,000 is precisely aimed at the professional middle class, not the wealthy who spend 10 times that on timepieces. Burberry's signature check pattern, number 10, experienced massive counterfeiting in the early 2000s, permanently damaging the brand's exclusivity. While their trench coats remain classics, wealthy clients prefer their less recognizable items or competitors like Loro Piana or Brunello Cucinelli. Yet, the middle class still covets that check pattern, which represents about 30% of Burberry's annual sales. Number 11. Calvin Klein. After PVH Corp acquired the brand in 2003, Calvin Klein expanded aggressively into department stores and outlets. The wealthy now see CK as mass market, not luxury. Yet middle-class consumers still view Calvin Klein as aspirational, especially in emerging markets where the brand positioning remains stronger than in Western countries. Prada's nylon backpacks and bags, number 12, were revolutionary in the 1990s. Today, the wealthy see these items, starting around $995, as entry-level products for younger consumers. They prefer Prada's higher-end leather goods or their experimental Linea Rossa collections. The classic nylon backpack remains one of the brand's best sellers, but not among the truly rich. Diesel, number 13, was once cutting edge in the premium denim market. After peaking in the early 2000s, the brand struggled to maintain relevance. A recent revival under creative director Glenn Martins has brought back some credibility. But the wealthy have moved on to luxury denim from brands like The Row or Loro Piana, where jeans can cost upwards of $1,000. Diesel remains firmly middle-class aspirational. Number 14. Montblanc. While their high-end writing instruments are still respected, Montblanc's expansion into accessories, fragrances, and watches diluted their brand among connoisseurs. The wealthy now prefer independent pen makers or vintage pieces, yet a Montblanc pen remains the classic middle-class "I've made it" purchase, often given as graduation or promotion gifts. Finally, number 15, Tory Burch. Despite building a $2 billion empire with her signature ballet flats and logo bags, Tory Burch is viewed by the wealthy as suburban luxury, accessible items for upper-middle-class consumers. The wealthy prefer niche designers or heritage brands with deeper historical significance, yet middle-class shoppers still save up for Tory Burch as their introduction to designer goods. The pattern is clear. What middle-class shoppers view as the pinnacle of luxury, the truly wealthy often see as mass-market products designed specifically for aspiration, not appreciation. True luxury to the wealthy isn't about logos or recognition. It's about craftsmanship, heritage, rarity, and subtlety. If you found this analysis fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe for more insights into the psychology of luxury and consumer behavior. Comment below with which brand surprised you the most, or which luxury brands you think still maintain their prestige across all wealth brackets. Thanks for watching, and remember, true luxury isn't what everyone recognizes, it's what few can truly appreciate. In a shocking turn of events for the retail industry, we're witnessing an unprecedented wave of closures among some of America's most iconic clothing brands. Today, we're going to dive deep into 15 major clothing retailers that are permanently shutting their doors, marking the end of an era in fashion retail. Let's start with Gap Inc. Says Banana Republic. After decades of being a staple in American malls, Banana Republic announced the closure of 50% of its North American stores by 2025. The brand, which once represented the pinnacle of accessible luxury, has struggled to maintain relevance in an increasingly digital marketplace. Their attempt to pivot towards more premium offerings failed to resonate with their core customer base, and the pandemic dealt a devastating blow to their already declining foot traffic. Next up is Express, a brand that defined young professional fashion throughout the 1990s and 2000s. They recently filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and announced the closure of 95% of their retail locations. The company's inability to adapt to changing consumer preferences, coupled with mounting debt and increased competition from fast fashion retailers, led to this dramatic downfall. Express will maintain an online presence, but the era of their ubiquitous mall presence is coming to an end. Victoria's Secret, once the undisputed queen of lingerie retail, is closing hundreds of stores nationwide. The brand's dated image and failure to embrace body positivity early enough has cost them dearly. Their parent company, L Brands, has announced plans to close over 250 locations in 2025 alone. This represents not just a business failure, but a cultural shift in how society views beauty and femininity. Fourth on our list is J. Crew, which filed for bankruptcy in 2020 and continues to struggle despite restructuring efforts. The brand that once dressed Michelle Obama and was synonymous with preppy American style has announced plans to close all remaining physical stores by 2026. Their attempt to maintain premium pricing while competing with fast fashion proved unsustainable, and their core customer base has largely moved on to more contemporary brands. Dress Barn, after over 50 years in business, is completely shuttering its physical presence. The retailer, which catered to working women with affordable professional wear, couldn't compete with online retailers and changing work dress codes. Their closure affects thousands of employees across the country and marks the end of an era for women's workplace fashion. Forever 21, despite emerging from bankruptcy in 2020, is facing another round of massive closures. The fast fashion giant that once operated in over 800 locations is now down to just a fraction of that number. Their rapid expansion and inability to keep up with even faster fashion competitors like Shein has led to this dramatic downsizing. Seventh on our list is Men's Warehouse, which is closing hundreds of locations following their parent company's bankruptcy. The formal wear retailer has been hit particularly hard by the shift to casual office attire and the rise of work-from-home culture. Their famous guarantee, "You're going to like the way you look," may soon be a relic of retail history. H&M, while not completely shutting down, is closing hundreds of stores globally, including many flagship locations in the United States. The Swedish fast fashion giant is struggling with inventory management issues and increasing competition from online-only retailers. Their sustainability initiatives, while admirable, came too late to prevent this major downsizing. Ninth is American Eagle Outfitters' Aerie brand, which is consolidating its physical presence despite strong online sales. The decision to close stores reflects the broader industry trend toward digital-first operations, even for successful brands. This strategic shift will see the closure of numerous mall locations by the end of 2025. Brooks Brothers, America's oldest clothing retailer, filed for bankruptcy and is closing most of its stores. The 200-year-old brand, which has dressed 40 U.S. presidents, couldn't survive the combination of casual workplace attire and pandemic-related store closures. Their remaining presence will be primarily through department store partnerships and online sales. Lucky Brand Jeans is next on our list, having filed for bankruptcy and announcing the closure of all standalone stores. The premium denim retailer, known for its vintage-inspired designs, couldn't compete with more affordable options and changing fashion preferences. Their intellectual property has been acquired by another company, but the brand as we know it will cease to exist. 12th is Francesca's, the boutique-style retailer that's closing all physical locations after filing for bankruptcy. Their unique business model of small, frequently updated inventory couldn't survive the shift to online shopping and the impact of the pandemic. The brand will continue online, but their distinctive shopping experience will be lost. Chico's, including White House Black Market, is dramatically reducing its retail footprint. The retailer, which caters to mature women, has struggled to attract younger customers and adapt to changing fashion preferences. Their planned closure of hundreds of stores represents a significant shift in the market for women's specialty retail. Lord & Taylor, America's oldest department store, is completely shutting down after nearly 200 years in business. The iconic retailer's closure represents the end of an era in American retail history and highlights the challenges facing traditional department stores in the digital age. Finally, we have Topshop, the British fast fashion retailer that's closing all U.S. locations. Their attempt to capture the American market ultimately failed, despite initial success and high-profile locations in major cities. The brand's intellectual property has been acquired by ASOS, but the physical stores will disappear completely. These closures represent more than just business failures. They mark a fundamental shift in how we shop for clothes. The rise of e-commerce, changing consumer preferences, and the impact of global events like the pandemic have accelerated the decline of traditional retail. While some of these brands will continue online, the landscape of American retail will be forever changed by their physical absence. The impact extends beyond just the loss of familiar stores. Thousands of retail workers will be displaced, mall operators will face increasing vacancy rates, and consumers will have fewer options for in-person shopping experiences. This transformation of retail reflects broader changes in our society, from how we work and dress to how we make purchasing decisions. As we look to the future, it's clear that the retail apocalypse isn't just about the failure of individual brands, but represents a fundamental restructuring of the retail landscape. The survivors will likely be those who can successfully blend digital and physical experiences while maintaining strong connections with their target customers. The luxury watch industry has long been synonymous with prestige, craftsmanship, and timeless appeal. For decades, these prestigious timepieces have adorned the wrists of the wealthy, signaling status and taste. But something remarkable is happening in this once untouchable industry. Even the most storied names in horology are finding themselves in an unprecedented situation, watching their customer base erode at an alarming rate. Today, we're going to examine 15 luxury watch brands that are losing customers fast and explore the complex factors behind this industry-wide upheaval. The entire luxury watch market is undergoing a seismic shift. According to recent market analysis, the industry saw its first major contraction in over a decade, with sales declining by nearly 15% across the board last year. This isn't just a temporary dip either. Multiple indicators suggest we're witnessing a fundamental restructuring of consumer preferences when it comes to luxury timepieces. The Apple Watch alone now outsells the entire Swiss watch industry combined, a statistic that would have been unthinkable just 10 years ago. Let's start with perhaps the most shocking entry on our list, Rolex. Yes, even the crown jewel of luxury watchmaking isn't immune to changing market dynamics. While Rolex remains profitable, their growth has significantly slowed, and they're facing unprecedented challenges in attracting younger buyers. The brand's waitlist strategy, once seen as brilliant marketing, has backfired spectacularly with millennial and Gen Z consumers who simply aren't willing to wait years for the privilege of spending 5 figures on a watch. Recent data shows first-time Rolex purchases among under 35 consumers have dropped by 22% since 2020. Rolex's rigid distribution model and reluctance to embrace digital sales channels have further alienated younger buyers accustomed to seamless online shopping experiences. When industry analysts conducted sentiment analysis on social media platforms, they found that Rolex is increasingly perceived as your grandfather's watch. Hardly the association a luxury brand wants in today's youth-driven marketplace. While Rolex remains enormously popular, these concerning trends suggest trouble ahead if the brand doesn't evolve its approach. Next up is Patek Philippe, perhaps the most prestigious name in traditional watchmaking. The Geneva-based manufacturer has built its reputation on exclusivity and heritage, with their famous advertising slogan suggesting you never actually own a Patek Philippe. You merely look after it for the next generation. However, that message is failing to resonate with modern consumers. The brand has seen a 17% decline in new customer acquisition over the past 3 years. Patek's challenges stem from several factors. Their extreme exclusivity has created an almost impenetrable barrier for new enthusiasts. Their most coveted models, like the Nautilus, command absurd premiums on the secondary market, creating frustration among potential buyers. Furthermore, Patek's strong association with traditional wealth signaling feels increasingly out of touch in a world where younger, affluent consumers often prefer to display their status through experiences rather than possessions. While Patek's timepieces remain masterpieces of horological art, The brand risks becoming a museum piece itself if it cannot connect with contemporary luxury consumers. Our third entry is Tag Heuer, a brand once synonymous with sporting prestige and accessible luxury. Tag has struggled mightily in recent years, with sales declining by over 25% since 2018. The brand finds itself in an increasingly precarious position, squeezed from below by fashion brands like Daniel Wellington and from above by more prestigious names like Omega. Tag's identity crisis has left consumers confused about what the brand stands for. Their attempt to enter the smartwatch category with the connected watch initially generated buzz but failed to establish Tag as a serious competitor in the space. Meanwhile, their traditional timepieces lack the heritage appeal of older luxury brands. Tag's celebrity endorsements, once a strength, now seem scattershot and fail to create a coherent brand image. Without a clear value proposition, Tag risks continuing to lose market share to both traditional competitors and tech giants like Apple. Fourth on our list is Breitling, the aviation-focused watchmaker known for their bold, masculine designs. Breitling has seen customer retention rates plummet by 31% over the past 5 years, according to industry data. The brand's hyper-masculine image, once its calling card, has become a liability in an era where gender-neutral design is increasingly valued in luxury goods. Breitling's aggressive marketing and oversized watches, often exceeding 44 millimeters, have limited their appeal to a narrowing demographic. Their attempts to pivot under new CEO George Kern have produced mixed results. While new collections like the Premier and Super Ocean have received critical acclaim, they haven't translated into sustained sales growth. Breitling's challenge is to honor its aviation heritage while creating products that appeal to contemporary tastes, a balancing act they've yet to master. Fifth is Omega, a brand with incredible heritage that has nonetheless seen its market share steadily erode. Despite the continued popularity of models like the Speed Master and Seamaster, Omega has struggled to convert one-time buyers into brand loyalists. Customer retention studies show that Omega purchasers are 38% more likely than Rolex owners to switch brands for their next luxury watch purchase. Omega's issues stem partly from their place in the Swatch Group portfolio, where they must maintain a price position below brands like Blancpain and Breguet. This creates a ceiling on how prestigious Omega can become. Additionally, Omega's extremely broad product range, with dozens of collections and hundreds of references, creates consumer confusion. While James Bond still wears an Omega, the brand's cultural relevance has waned as they've failed to establish meaningful connections with younger watch enthusiasts who prefer the exclusivity of brands like Rolex or the innovation of independent watchmakers. Coming in at number 6 is Panerai, a brand that experienced explosive growth in the early 2000s, only to face a dramatic reversal of fortune. Panerai's distinctive aesthetic, large cushion cases, and minimalist dials created a devoted following known as Paneristi. However, the brand's overexpansion has severely diluted its appeal. Sales have declined by 29% since their peak in 2014. Panerai's challenges include market saturation, with their once distinctive design language now widely copied. Their pivot to increasingly expensive pieces has alienated early supporters, while a lack of true innovation has failed to attract new customers. Panerai's association with action stars like Sylvester Stallone, once a strength, now feels dated rather than aspirational. The brand's Italian naval heritage, while interesting, hasn't been effectively communicated to new generations of watch buyers. Seventh on our list is Hublot, the controversial Swiss manufacturer known for their art of fusion approach and flashy designs. Hublot saw meteoric growth under Jean-Claude Biver's leadership, but that momentum has stalled dramatically. New customer acquisition has fallen by 41% since 2019, representing one of the steepest declines in the industry. Hublot's challenges are numerous. Their aggressive collaborations and limited editions, once novel, now appear desperate rather than exclusive. The brand's association with football, soccer, initially drove global awareness but failed to translate into lasting prestige. Perhaps most damaging is Hublot's reputation among serious watch collectors, who often dismiss the brand for prioritizing marketing over horological substance. While Hublot watches remain popular with certain athletes and entertainers, their appeal has narrowed rather than broadened over time. Our eighth entry is IWC Schaffhausen, the storied Swiss-German manufacturer known for their pilot watches and engineering excellence. Despite their impressive heritage and solid product lineup, IWC has seen consistent year-over-year declines in market share. Their once strong position in the mid to high luxury segment has been eroded by more nimble competitors. IWC's challenges include inconsistent marketing with frequent changes in direction diluting their brand identity. Their attempts to move up market have been only partially successful, creating confusion about the brand's positioning. Perhaps most concerning is IWC's failure to create emotional connections with consumers. Their technically excellent timepieces often lack the character and stories that drive passionate collecting. With competition intensifying in their core pilot watch category from both above and below, IWC faces difficult decisions about their future direction. Ninth is Jaeger-LeCoultre, often described as the watchmaker's watchmaker due to their technical expertise and in-house manufacturing capabilities. Despite producing some of the industry's most technically accomplished timepieces, JLC has seen its customer base contract by 23% over the past decade. The brand's master watchmaking is increasingly underappreciated in a market driven more by brand recognition than horological merit. JLC's problems include limited brand awareness outside enthusiast circles and a product lineup that, while excellent, lacks icons with immediate recognition. Their signature Reverso model, while historically significant, hasn't achieved the cultural status of a Rolex Submariner or Omega Speedmaster. Additionally, JLC's positioning within the Richemont Group has sometimes seemed uncertain, leading to confusing price positioning and marketing strategies. Despite creating movements for many more famous brands, JLC struggles to translate their watchmaking prestige into consumer desire. At number 10 is Audemars Piguet, a brand that might surprise some by appearing on this list. While AP's Royal Oak remains one of the most coveted watches in the world, the brand is facing serious challenges in expanding beyond this single successful model. New product launches like the Code 11.59 collection were met with unprecedented consumer backlash, and customer data shows concerning trends in brand loyalty. AP's challenges include over-reliance on a single design, with the Royal Oak and its variants now representing over 90% of their sales. Their attempt to restrict distribution has backfired in some markets, creating frustration among potential customers. Perhaps most concerning is data showing that AP owners are increasingly likely to be speculators rather than enthusiasts, purchasing for investment rather than passion. While currently profitable, AP's narrow foundation makes it vulnerable to shifting tastes. 11th on our list is Vacheron Constantin, the oldest continuously operating watch manufacturer in the world. Despite their extraordinary heritage and technical mastery, Vacheron has struggled to connect with new generations of luxury consumers. Their customer demographic skews significantly older than competitors, with the average first-time buyer now over 50 years old. A concerning statistic for long-term viability. Vacheron's challenges include limited brand recognition outside traditional watch collecting circles and products that, while exquisite, often lack emotional appeal to younger buyers. Their marketing has emphasized technical excellence and history, rather than creating meaningful contemporary narratives. While Vacheron's timepieces remain among the finest in the world, the brand risks becoming increasingly niche without successful outreach to younger, affluent consumers. At number 12 is Ulysse Nardin, a brand with a rich maritime history that has struggled to maintain relevance in the modern luxury watch market. UN has seen its retail presence contract by over 35% in the past 5 years, with numerous authorized dealers dropping the brand due to slow turnover. Their bold design direction under previous leadership alienated traditional customers without successfully attracting new ones. Ulysse Nardin's challenges include inconsistent product strategy with dramatic shifts in design language, creating confusion about the brand's identity. Their early adoption of unusual materials like silicone was technically forward-thinking, but failed to create lasting consumer interest. Recent attempts to reconnect with their marine chronometer heritage have shown promise, but haven't yet reversed the brand's declining fortunes. Without clearer positioning and more compelling storytelling, UN risks continuing to lose ground to more focused competitors. 13th is Blancpain, a brand revived in the 1980s after disappearing during the quartz crisis. Despite creating one of the industry's most influential luxury dive watches, the 50 Fathoms, Blancpain has struggled to build a broader identity. Their customer base has contracted by 19% since 2017, with particular weakness in the crucial North American and Chinese markets. Blancpain's challenges include limited model recognition beyond the 50 Fathoms and an overall aesthetic that, while elegant, often lacks distinctiveness. Their positioning within the Swatch Group portfolio sometimes appears redundant alongside sister brands like Omega and Breguet. While Blancpain's watchmaking credentials are beyond reproach, they've struggled to translate technical excellence into compelling consumer propositions. Without stronger differentiation, Blancpain risks further market share erosion. Our 14th entry is Girard-Perregaux, a manufacturer with over 230 years of history that nonetheless finds itself at a crossroads. GP has experienced one of the industry's most dramatic contractions, with global sales declining by over 40% in the past decade. Despite creating iconic designs like the Three Bridges tourbillon, the brand has failed to achieve lasting resonance with luxury consumers. Girard-Perregaux's challenges include frequent changes in ownership and direction, creating discontinuity in product development and marketing. Their attempts to establish themselves in the sports luxury segment with the Laureato collection have been overshadowed by more established competitors. Perhaps most concerning is GP's retreat from key global markets, with their retail presence now significantly reduced in regions like North America. Without substantial reinvestment and clearer brand positioning, GP faces an uncertain future. Finally, at number 15 is Zenith, a brand with extraordinary technical heritage that has nonetheless struggled to find its place in the modern luxury landscape. Despite creating groundbreaking movements like the El Primero, the first fully integrated automatic chronograph, Zenith has seen its market position steadily erode, with particularly concerning performance in the crucial entry-level luxury segment. Zenith's challenges include inconsistent brand direction, with frequent strategic pivots creating confusion about their identity. Their attempts to leverage their El Primero heritage have been only partially successful, as younger consumers show limited interest in mechanical accomplishments from the 1960s. Recent collections like the Defi have received critical acclaim but haven't generated sufficient commercial success. As part of the LVMH group, Zenith must find a clearer position alongside sister brands Tag Heuer and Hublot. So what's really happening in the luxury watch industry? Several fundamental shifts help explain why even the most prestigious brands are struggling. First, the rise of smartwatches has fundamentally changed consumer expectations about what a wrist-worn device should do. When an Apple Watch offers health monitoring, communication, and perfect timekeeping for a fraction of the price, mechanical watches must justify their existence on different terms. Second, younger affluent consumers display dramatically different luxury purchase patterns than previous generations. They're less interested in traditional status symbols and more focused on experiences and products that align with their values. Sustainability, ethical production, and authentic storytelling matter more than heritage or exclusivity alone. Third, the traditional distribution model for luxury watches has collapsed. Gray market dealers offering substantial discounts have undermined official retail networks, while the pandemic accelerated the shift to digital sales, an area where most traditional watch brands remain woefully behind. Finally, there's been a significant power shift toward independent watchmakers. Brands like FP Journe, H, Moser & C, and MB&F have captured the imagination of enthusiasts by offering creativity, transparency, and direct relationships that traditional brands struggle to match. The luxury watch industry isn't dying, it's transforming. Brands that successfully navigate this transition will emerge stronger, while those that cling to outdated business models and messaging will continue to lose relevance. For consumers, this period of disruption offers both challenges and opportunities. With more choices, better value, and more authentic connections available to those who know where to look. What do you think about the future of luxury watches? Are there brands you've lost interest in, or new ones that have captured your attention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this exploration of the changing landscape of luxury timepieces, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Thanks for watching. The luxury handbag market has long been synonymous with exclusivity, prestige, and seemingly unstoppable growth. For decades, these coveted accessories have served as status symbols, investment pieces, and key profit drivers for major fashion houses. But as we progress through the year, a dramatic shift is underway. Today, we examine 15 prominent luxury bag brands that are collectively losing billions in value and revenue, signaling a profound downturn in what was once considered a recession-proof industry. This decline in the luxury handbag sector is not a temporary fluctuation, but rather part of a broader structural shift in consumer behavior and global market dynamics. Over the past year and a half, these 15 brands are estimated to have lost more than $22 billion in combined value. Stock prices are tumbling, flagship stores are closing, and previously unthinkable changes are being implemented behind the scenes. The pace of this downturn has sharply accelerated since the final quarter of last year. Let us begin with the most dramatic case, Louis Vuitton. Once the crown jewel of LVMH, its handbag division has suffered a revenue decline of nearly 30% year over year. Iconic monogram bags that previously had wait lists are now sitting idle on store shelves. Since January, LVMH has lost over $47 billion in market capitalization, with analysts linking much of this loss to Louis Vuitton's underperformance. The brand strategy of continual price hikes, with some bags now retailing for 60% more than they did 3 years ago, has finally exceeded what consumers are willing to tolerate. In their latest earnings call, the CEO of LVMH admitted that they had misjudged the elasticity of luxury demand and acknowledged that even wealthy consumers are sensitive to price increases. In response, Louis Vuitton has begun offering exclusive private discounts to VIP customers, a move that would have been unimaginable just a short time ago. Foot traffic in key locations such as Shanghai, Tokyo, and Beverly Hills is down by more than 40%. Chanel follows closely behind, reporting a drop of approximately $3.5 billion in handbag revenue during the first half of this year. Known for guarding its financials, Chanel's disclosure of this downturn is particularly striking. The classic flap bag, which has more than doubled in price since 2019, now faces backlash as consumers perceive the brand's pricing as disconnected from value. Leaked documents suggest Chanel is exploring the idea of introducing outlet stores, a concept previously dismissed outright. Even affluent clients are expressing hesitation. Store associates have noted that bags priced above $10,000 are increasingly being scrutinized, with one Paris-based employee remarking that the magic is gone. Gucci, once the star of the Kering portfolio, has experienced a 30% plunge in handbag sales over the past year. As tastes have shifted towards understated elegance, Gucci's once popular maximalist designs have fallen out of favor. Kering has seen over $7 billion in market value erased, with Gucci largely to blame. The departure of its CEO hints at broader internal struggles. Hermès, often considered immune to the fluctuations of the luxury market, is showing signs of strain. While still outperforming most competitors, the brand has reported a 17% decline in bag sales, its first double-digit drop in recent memory. On resale platforms, Birkin bags are now fetching up to 30% less than they did at their peak. Younger consumers are showing discomfort with exotic materials, and the brand's famously opaque waitlist system is now viewed as outdated. Prada has also suffered, with its handbag division seeing a revenue decline of nearly 25%. The Italian label finds itself in an awkward space, neither exclusive enough to appeal to high-end buyers nor affordable enough to compete with brands like Coach, which have upped their game in quality and design. Prada has closed 15 stores and plans to shutter another 20 before year-end. Bottega Veneta's popularity, once soaring under creative director Daniel Lee, is waning. Sales of the brand's signature woven bags have declined by over a quarter. Kering, its parent company, has seen Bottega's contribution to profits shrink by more than 1/3, translating to nearly $2 billion in lost revenue. Balenciaga has endured the steepest decline, with handbag sales plummeting over 40% in the wake of a controversial campaign. The brand's avant-garde style now seems misaligned with shifting consumer priorities. Speculation about a leadership shakeup is growing, with rumors that creative director Demna may be replaced. Fendi, another LVMH subsidiary, has seen handbag revenue fall by more than 20%. A recent attempt to revive the baguette bag, including a collaboration with Sarah Jessica Parker, has failed to regain significant market traction. Discussions are underway about merging Fendi's accessory operations with other LVMH brands to streamline costs. Dior has recorded a nearly 20% decline in handbag sales. The Lady Dior and Book Tote, once hailed as modern staples, are now struggling both in primary sales and on the resale market. The brand's expansion in China has backfired amid shifting political sentiment and economic contraction. Loewe, which had been on a high under Jonathan Anderson, is facing a 24% decline in bag revenues. Despite critical acclaim, the brand's artistic designs haven't translated into strong sales. Its new creative leadership faces the challenge of redefining Loewe's identity while boosting commercial appeal. Saint Laurent under Kering has seen a 20% drop in handbag revenue. The brand's minimalist direction, once praised for elegance, now risks appearing too generic. Internal restructuring is expected as the brand seeks to regain distinctiveness. Burberry, currently undergoing a brand overhaul, has experienced a more than 30% drop in handbag sales. The phase out of its iconic check pattern has left a void in identity, and new designs have yet to resonate widely. The company has lost nearly 40% of its market capitalization in the past year. Valentino, with a nearly 30% year-over-year decline, is facing instability after the departure of longtime creative director Pier Paolo Piccioli. The brand is now exploring lower-priced handbag lines to reignite consumer interest, a move that risks diluting its luxury positioning. Celine, now under new leadership following the exit of Hedi Slimane, has reported a 25% drop in handbag revenue. Its logo-driven Triumph bags have lost momentum as consumer tastes shift toward more discreet designs. Lastly, Mulberry has seen a nearly 40% plunge in revenue, leading to the closure of all U.S. locations and plans to scale back its European presence. Straddling the line between high-end and mass market, Mulberry is now reevaluating its global footprint. What is driving this collapse? First, a significant slowdown in Chinese luxury spending has removed a vital source of growth. Economic uncertainty and government messaging around modesty have curbed conspicuous consumption. Second, younger consumers are redefining luxury. Millennials and Gen Z are drawn to circular fashion, emerging designers, and sustainable practices. The traditional luxury model, reliant on exclusivity and brand heritage, is losing its grip. Third, sustainability concerns are changing the landscape. A growing number of under 35 consumers now prioritize environmental responsibility in their purchase decisions, challenging brands to evolve. Fourth, the booming resale market has disrupted traditional pricing and scarcity models. Transparent resale pricing has diminished the perceived investment value of many luxury bags. Fifth, aggressive price increases have alienated even loyal customers. Bags that once cost $2,000 now retail for well over $4,000, pushing consumers to reconsider value. Looking ahead, we may see major consolidation within luxury conglomerates as underperforming brands are sold off or restructured. Strategies like subscription models, outlet expansion, and direct engagement with the resale market may become more common. For consumers, this disruption could mean better access and pricing. For investors, it raises the question of whether this is a cyclical correction or a fundamental transformation. One thing is clear. The luxury handbag market, as we knew it, is undergoing a seismic shift. Brands that survive this reckoning will be those that adapt not only to evolving aesthetics, but also to changing values. The age of unlimited growth fueled by price hikes in emerging markets may be coming to an end, replaced by a new era where authenticity, sustainability, and creativity reign supreme. Luxury brands have always been symbols of status, exclusivity, and quality. For decades, these high-end companies have maintained their allure through carefully crafted marketing, limited availability, and premium pricing. However, in today's rapidly evolving market landscape, many once untouchable luxury brands are experiencing unprecedented customer exodus. The reasons behind this shift are complex and multifaceted, ranging from changing consumer values to strategic missteps by the brands themselves. Today, we're going to examine 15 luxury brands that are losing customers at an alarming rate. We'll explore the factors contributing to their decline and what these changes might mean for the future of luxury consumption. This isn't just about fashion fads or temporary setbacks. We're witnessing a fundamental transformation in how consumers perceive and interact with luxury. Let's start with Gucci, once the darling of luxury fashion. Since 2022, Gucci has experienced a significant decline in sales, with revenues dropping by 14% in the first quarter of 2023 alone. The brand that was once known for its bold, maximalist aesthetic under creative director Alessandro Michele has struggled to maintain relevance after his departure. Gucci's parent company, Kering, has reported that the brand's performance has been particularly weak in China and the United States, two crucial markets for luxury goods. The problem? Gucci's identity crisis. After years of Alessandro Michele's eccentric, vintage-inspired designs that helped the brand achieve record growth between 2015 and 2019, the transition to a new creative direction under Sabato De Sarno has been rocky. Many loyal customers who were drawn to Michele's distinctive aesthetic have been alienated by the brand's attempt to pivot. Additionally, Gucci has suffered from overexposure and logo fatigue. The brand's iconic GG monogram became so ubiquitous that it lost its exclusivity appeal, a death knell for any luxury brand. Next up is Balenciaga, which has experienced one of the most dramatic falls from grace in recent luxury history. Once the cool, edgy brand that dominated streetwear luxury crossover, Balenciaga has been hemorrhaging customers since late 2022. The brand faced intense backlash following controversial ad campaigns featuring children with teddy bears and bondage-inspired outfits, leading to a boycott movement that spread across social media platforms. Balenciaga's creative director Demna Gvasalia's provocative approach, which once seemed cutting-edge, suddenly appeared tone-deaf and problematic. The brand's parent company, Kering, has been tight-lipped about exact figures, but industry analysts estimate that Balenciaga's sales dropped by as much as 30% in the immediate aftermath of the controversy. Despite public apologies and attempts to rebrand, Balenciaga continues to struggle with rebuilding consumer trust, especially among younger luxury shoppers who are particularly sensitive to ethical missteps. Moving on to Calvin Klein, a brand that once defined American luxury and sex appeal. While not in the same ultra-luxury tier as some others on our list, Calvin Klein has long positioned itself as a premium brand. However, in recent years, the company has struggled to maintain its relevance and market position. Sales have been declining steadily, with a reported 8% drop in 2022 compared to pre-pandemic levels. Calvin Klein's challenges stem from its identity confusion. The brand that once shocked and captivated with provocative advertising featuring stars like Mark Wahlberg and Kate Moss now seems to be caught between its heritage and attempts to appeal to Gen Z consumers. Additionally, the brand has faced increased competition from more affordable premium brands and direct-to-consumer startups that offer similar products at lower price points. Calvin Klein's parent company, PVH Corp., has attempted to revitalize the brand through collaborations and digital initiatives. But these efforts have yet to reverse the downward trend. Prada, the Italian luxury powerhouse, has also been experiencing customer attrition. While not as dramatic as some others on this list, Prada's growth has significantly lagged behind competitors like LVMH brands. The company reported modest growth in 2022, but this was primarily driven by price increases rather than increased volume, suggesting that fewer customers are purchasing Prada products. Prada's challenges are multifaceted. The brand has struggled with digital transformation, being slower than competitors to embrace e-commerce and social media marketing. Additionally, Prada's aesthetic, while respected in fashion circles, has sometimes failed to create the same excitement and desirability as more trend-focused luxury brands. The company has made efforts to appeal to younger consumers through initiatives like Raf Simons' co-creative directorship, which ended in 2023, and sustainability commitments, but these have yet to fully translate into renewed customer enthusiasm. Burberry, the British luxury brand known for its iconic check pattern, has been on a roller coaster ride in recent years. After a period of growth under former CEO Marco Gobbetti and creative director Riccardo Tisci, the brand has struggled to maintain momentum. In 2023, Burberry issued a profit warning after sales in China, its largest market, plummeted by 20%. Burberry's identity has been in flux, with multiple creative directors in recent years leading to inconsistent brand messaging. The latest creative director, Daniel Lee, has attempted to return to Burberry's British heritage, but this pivot has alienated some customers who were drawn to Tisci's more global, streetwear-influenced aesthetic. Additionally, Burberry has faced challenges in maintaining its exclusivity perception, with its check pattern becoming overexposed in certain markets and associated with counterfeiting. The brand's attempt to move upmarket has also resulted in price increases that have driven away some of its traditional customer base without necessarily attracting new ultra-wealthy clients. Tag Heuer, the Swiss luxury watchmaker, has been facing significant headwinds in recent years. Once a dominant force in the premium sports watch category, Tag Heuer has lost market share to both higher-end watch brands and new competitors like Apple Watch. The brand's sales have reportedly declined by double digits since 2019, though its parent company, LVMH, doesn't break out individual brand performance in detail. Tag Heuer's challenges stem from the broader disruption in the watch industry. The rise of smartwatches has particularly impacted the entry luxury segment, where Tag Heuer has traditionally been strong. The brand's attempt to counter this trend with its own connected smartwatch line has had limited success. Additionally, Tag Heuer has struggled with brand positioning, caught between true luxury watchmakers like Rolex and Omega and more accessible brands. Recent price increases have pushed Tag Heuer watches into a higher bracket without the corresponding perception of exclusivity or craftsmanship that justifies these prices in consumers' minds. Tiffany & Co., the iconic American jeweler, has experienced a tumultuous few years, even before its acquisition by LVMH in 2021. Tiffany was struggling with declining foot traffic and sales, particularly among younger consumers. The brand's reliance on its famous blue box and legacy collections, like the silver Return to Tiffany line, had led to stagnation and a perception of being outdated. Under LVMH's ownership, Tiffany has undergone a controversial rebranding, including the Not Your Mother's Tiffany campaign that alienated loyal customers while attempting to attract younger ones. The brand's pivot to more contemporary designs and provocative marketing has received mixed reactions. Additionally, Tiffany has faced challenges in the crucial Chinese market, where local jewelry brands and other international competitors have gained ground. While LVMH has the resources to potentially turn Tiffany around, the brand continues to struggle with customer retention during this transition period. Ralph Lauren, once the definitive American luxury lifestyle brand, has been experiencing a gradual but persistent decline in its customer base. The company has reported inconsistent financial results in recent years, with particular weakness in its wholesale business as department stores, once Ralph Lauren's stronghold, continue to struggle. Ralph Lauren's challenges include brand dilution through extensive licensing and outlet presence, which has damaged its luxury credentials. The brand that once represented aspirational American luxury has become associated with discounting and accessibility, making it difficult to maintain premium positioning. Additionally, Ralph Lauren has struggled to connect with younger consumers who don't share the same affinity for the brand's preppy, traditional aesthetic. The company's attempts to modernize through initiatives like the Polo app and collaborations have had limited success in reversing the trend of customer attrition. Diesel, the Italian premium denim and fashion brand, has experienced a dramatic fall from its peak in the early 2000s. Once a coveted label known for edgy advertising and premium jeans, Diesel has struggled to maintain relevance in an increasingly competitive market. The brand's parent company, OTB Group, doesn't disclose detailed figures for individual brands, but industry analysts estimate that Diesel's sales have declined by more than 40% from its peak. Diesel's challenges include the rise of premium denim competitors at both higher and lower price points, the shift away from designer jeans as a status symbol, and inconsistent brand messaging. Creative director Glenn Martins has attempted to revitalize the brand with more fashion-forward collections, but Diesel continues to struggle with its identity, caught between its heritage as a premium denim brand and aspirations to be seen as a fashion house. Additionally, the brand's extensive outlet presence and discounting have eroded its perceived value. Versace, the flamboyant Italian luxury house, has faced challenges since its acquisition by Capri Holdings, formerly Michael Kors Holdings, in 2018. While the brand has shown some growth, it has underperformed compared to expectations and luxury market benchmarks. Capri Holdings reported that Versace's revenue growth slowed significantly in 2023, with particular weakness in the Americas and Asia. Versace's challenges include maintaining its distinctive identity within a larger, more commercially focused corporate structure. The brand's bold, sexy aesthetic, closely associated with founder Gianni Versace and continued by his sister Donatella, has sometimes struggled to evolve while remaining authentic. Additionally, Versace has faced increased competition from both established luxury houses and newer brands that appeal to younger consumers. The brand's attempt to expand into more accessible product categories has risked diluting its luxury positioning without necessarily broadening its customer base significantly. Dolce & Gabbana, the Italian luxury brand known for its Sicilian-inspired designs and opulence, has been on a rocky path in recent years. The brand faced a major crisis in 2018 following a controversial advertising campaign in China and offensive comments attributed to designer Stefano Gabbana, leading to a boycott in the crucial Chinese market. While D&G has worked to rebuild its reputation, the brand continues to lose customers, particularly in Asia. Beyond the China controversy, Dolce & Gabbana has faced challenges with evolving its aesthetic for changing consumer tastes. The brand's ornate, maximalist style has sometimes appeared out of step with trends toward more understated luxury. Additionally, D&G has struggled with digital transformation and connecting with younger consumers who are increasingly driving luxury growth. The privately held company doesn't disclose detailed financial information, but industry analysts estimate that D&G's global market share has declined significantly since 2018. Tod's, the Italian luxury leather goods brand known for its driving shoes and craftsmanship, has been experiencing a steady decline in sales and market relevance. The company reported a 10.9% drop in sales in 2023 compared to the previous year, with particular weakness in its footwear category, once the brand's core strength. Todd's challenges include its reliance on classic, timeless products in a market increasingly driven by novelty and trends. The brand's signature Gamino driving shoe, while iconic, has failed to excite new customers in the way that statement pieces from more fashion-forward luxury brands have. Additionally, Todd's has struggled with digital engagement and creating the kind of online buzz that drives contemporary luxury consumption. The company's attempt to expand into ready-to-wear fashion has had limited success in offsetting declining sales in its core categories. Salvatore Ferragamo, the storied Italian luxury brand known for its footwear and leather goods, has been underperforming compared to its luxury peers for several years. The company reported a 7.2% decline in revenue in 2023, continuing a trend of stagnation and decline that predates the pandemic. Ferragamo's challenges include an aging customer base and difficulty attracting younger luxury consumers. The brand's classic, understated aesthetic has struggled to create excitement in a market increasingly driven by bold statements and social media visibility. Additionally, Ferragamo has faced internal challenges, with frequent changes in creative and executive leadership hampering consistent brand development. The company's attempt to revitalize under creative director Maximilian Davis has shown some promising signs, but has yet to translate into sustained customer growth. Michael Kors, once the king of accessible luxury, has experienced a significant decline in its aspirational status and customer base. The brand's parent company, Capri Holdings, reported that Michael Kors' revenue decreased by 6.5% in the third quarter of fiscal 2024 compared to the same period in the previous year, continuing a troubling trend. Michael Kors' challenges include brand dilution through widespread availability, frequent discounting, and presence in outlet malls. The brand that once positioned itself as an accessible alternative to European luxury houses has become associated with mass-market retail and lost much of its aspirational quality. Additionally, Michael Kors has struggled with product innovation, often relying on variations of its established styles rather than creating genuinely new designs that capture consumer imagination. The brand's attempt to move upmarket through its collection line has had limited success in changing overall brand perception. Finally, we come to Montblanc, the German luxury brand known primarily for its writing instruments. While still respected in its category, Montblanc has been facing challenges as the very concept of luxury pens has become increasingly niche in a digital world. The brand's parent company, Richemont, doesn't break out individual brand performance in detail, but industry analysts suggest that Montblanc's traditional business has been in gradual decline. Montblanc's challenges include the fundamental shift away from handwriting in both professional and personal contexts. The brand has attempted to diversify into categories like watches, leather goods, and even headphones. But these efforts have had mixed results and risked diluting Montblanc's core identity. Additionally, the brand has struggled to connect its heritage of craftsmanship with contemporary luxury values like sustainability and technological innovation. While Montblanc maintains a loyal customer base for its writing instruments, this segment is aging and not being replaced at the same rate by younger consumers. What do these 15 declining luxury brands tell us about the state of luxury consumption today? Several key themes emerge. First, we're seeing a fundamental shift in what consumers value in luxury goods. Heritage and craftsmanship alone are no longer sufficient. Brands must also demonstrate relevance, ethical practices, and authentic connection with contemporary culture. Second, digital transformation is separating winners from losers. Brands that have embraced e-commerce, social media, and digital storytelling effectively have generally fared better than those that have been slow to adapt. The pandemic accelerated this trend, making digital engagement not just important but essential. Third, we're witnessing changing attitudes toward conspicuous consumption. Many consumers, particularly younger ones, are moving away from obvious logos and status symbols toward more subtle signifiers of luxury and quality. Brands that have relied heavily on visible logos and recognizable patterns have often struggled to adapt to this shift. Fourth, the concentration of luxury market share in the hands of a few conglomerates, particularly LVMH and Kering, has created a challenging environment for independent luxury brands. These conglomerates have the resources to invest in marketing, retail experiences, and talent acquisition at a scale that's difficult for standalone brands to match. Finally, we're seeing increased scrutiny of luxury brands' ethical practices and sustainability commitments. Consumers, especially younger ones, expect luxury brands to lead in areas like environmental responsibility, labor practices, and inclusivity. Brands that have failed to meet these expectations have often faced backlash and customer attrition. What does the future hold for these struggling luxury brands? Some will likely be acquired by larger conglomerates that have the resources to attempt revitalization. Others may successfully reinvent themselves through new creative direction and business strategies. And some may continue to decline, becoming cautionary tales in the evolution of luxury consumption. For consumers, these shifts mean more thoughtful luxury purchases, with greater emphasis on personal values alignment rather than just status signaling. For the industry as a whole, this period of disruption is likely to lead to a more diverse luxury landscape, with room for both heritage players who successfully evolve and new entrants who better understand contemporary luxury values. The luxury market has always been cyclical, with brands rising and falling in popularity. However, what we're witnessing now appears to be more than just normal market fluctuations. It's a fundamental reassessment of what luxury means in the 21st century. The brands that survive and thrive will be those that understand that luxury is no longer just about exclusivity and craftsmanship, but also about relevance, responsibility, and genuine connection. As we continue to monitor these trends, one thing is clear. The definition of luxury is being rewritten before our eyes, and the brands that fail to adapt to this new reality will continue to lose customers, regardless of how illustrious their histories might be. Fashion is a fickle industry where today's hottest trend can become tomorrow's forgotten fad. In the ever-evolving landscape of retail, brands that once dominated shopping malls and captured the hearts of consumers now struggle to maintain relevance in an increasingly competitive market. Today, we're taking a deep dive into 10 once popular fashion brands that are slowly fading from the spotlight, examining what led to their decline and whether they have any chance of making a comeback. The retail apocalypse has been unfolding for years now, accelerated by the pandemic, changing consumer preferences, and the rise of e-commerce. But beyond these broader trends, each brand has its own unique story of rise and fall. Some were victims of their own success, unable to adapt when their signature styles fell out of favor. Others failed to keep up with digital transformation or lost their identity through multiple ownership changes. Whatever the reason, these brands serve as cautionary tales in an industry where staying power is increasingly rare. Let's start with Abercrombie & Fitch, a brand that was once the epitome of cool for teenagers in the early 2000s. Walking into an Abercrombie store was an experience in itself. Dimly lit interiors, pounding music, overwhelming cologne, and walls adorned with black and white photos of shirtless models. The brand's logo-heavy clothing was a status symbol, and teens would save up just to own a piece of the A&F lifestyle. At its peak around 2007, Abercrombie & Fitch was generating over $4.5 billion in annual revenue. Former CEO Mike Jeffries famously stated that the brand was absolutely exclusionary and only for the cool kids. This strategy worked brilliantly until it didn't. As millennial consumers grew up, they began rejecting the brand's elitist image and lack of inclusivity. The company's refusal to adapt to changing attitudes about body positivity and diversity became increasingly problematic. By 2014, sales had plummeted and Jeffries was forced out. While the brand has attempted a reinvention under new leadership, focusing on quality basics and more inclusive marketing, it's never recaptured its former glory. Today, Abercrombie operates fewer than half the stores it once did, and despite some recent improvements in performance, it remains a shadow of its former self. The brand that once defined a generation's aesthetic is now fighting for relevance in a world that has largely moved on. Next up is Gap, once America's favorite purveyor of casual basics. Founded in 1969 in San Francisco, Gap reached its zenith in the 1990s with its iconic logo hoodies, simple jeans, and khakis. The brand's Individuals of Style campaign featured celebrities like Sharon Stone wearing Gap basics to the Oscars, cementing its status as both accessible and aspirational. Gap's decline began in the early 2000s as fast fashion retailers like H&M and Zara entered the U.S. market, offering trendier styles at lower prices with faster turnover. Gap's once revolutionary basics began to feel boring and overpriced in comparison. The company's attempt to chase trends often resulted in identity confusion, alienating its core customer base without successfully attracting new ones. Despite numerous turnaround attempts, including high-profile designer collaborations and marketing campaigns, Gap has continued to struggle. Between 2019 and 2023, the company announced plans to close hundreds of stores worldwide. Its parent company, Gap Inc., has seen more success with its other brands like Old Navy and Athleta. While the namesake Gap brand continues to search for its place in today's retail landscape, the iconic blue square logo that once symbolized American casual style now represents a cautionary tale of what happens when a brand loses sight of its core identity. Moving on to American Apparel, a brand that revolutionized basics with its Made in USA ethos and provocative marketing. Founded in 1989, American Apparel reached its height in the mid-2000s. Known for colorful basics, controversial advertising featuring amateur models in suggestive poses, and a commitment to domestic manufacturing when most apparel production had moved overseas, the brand's downfall was as dramatic as its rise. Founder Dov Charney's controversial behavior led to his ouster in 2014 amid sexual harassment allegations. The company filed for bankruptcy twice, in 2015 and 2017 before being acquired by Gildan Activewear, which shut down all 110 retail stores and moved production overseas, essentially gutting what made the brand unique. While American Apparel still exists as an online-only retailer, it's a mere ghost of its former self. The brand that once stood for American manufacturing, fair wages, and a certain provocative aesthetic has been reduced to just another label in a Canadian textile company's portfolio. Its rapid expansion, followed by spectacular collapse, serves as a reminder that even the coolest brands can quickly lose their luster when management problems and changing consumer preferences collide. Forever 21 represents another cautionary tale in the fast fashion space. Founded in 1984 by South Korean immigrants Do Won and Jin Suk Chang, the retailer exploded in popularity during the 2000s and early 2010s, becoming a mall staple with its massive stores offering trendy clothing at rock-bottom prices. At its peak, Forever 21 operated more than 700 stores globally and generated $4.4 billion in annual sales. The brand's aggressive expansion proved to be its undoing. Forever 21 took over massive retail spaces, including a 90,000 square foot flagship in Times Square, just as mall traffic was declining and e-commerce was rising. Its fast fashion model, once revolutionary, faced increasing competition from even faster online retailers like Fashion Nova and Shein, which could bring trends to market in days rather than weeks. In September 2019, Forever 21 filed for bankruptcy protection and closed hundreds of stores worldwide. While the brand was purchased by Authentic Brands Group, Simon Property Group, and Brookfield Property Partners in 2020, it never regained its former prominence. Today's Gen Z consumers are increasingly concerned with sustainability and ethical production, values that clash with Forever 21's disposable fashion model. The brand that once defined mall fashion for a generation now struggles to find its footing in a post-mall world. Victoria's Secret presents perhaps one of the most dramatic falls from grace in retail history. For decades, the lingerie giant dominated the market with its push-up bras, annual televised fashion shows featuring angels, and pink-striped shopping bags that served as status symbols. At its peak in the mid-2010s, Victoria's Secret controlled nearly 32% of the U.S. lingerie market. The brand's decline coincided with changing attitudes about beauty standards and femininity. As body positivity and inclusivity became cultural priorities, Victoria's Secret's narrow definition of sexy, typically thin, predominantly white models with a specific body type, began to feel outdated and even offensive to many consumers. Competitors like Savage X Fenty by Rihanna and Aerie embraced diversity in sizing, models, and messaging, stealing market share. In 2019, Victoria's Secret canceled its fashion show after years of declining viewership. The brand has since attempted a rebrand, replacing Angels with the VS Collective, featuring diverse ambassadors including Megan Rapinoe and Priyanka Chopra Jonas. However, sales continue to struggle, and the brand's parent company, L Brands, spun off Victoria's Secret as a separate company in 2021. While Victoria's Secret still maintains a significant market presence, its cultural relevance has diminished dramatically, and its future remains uncertain in an era that increasingly values authenticity over fantasy. J.Crew represents a different kind of retail decline, the fall of a once prestigious specialty retailer. Under the creative direction of Jenna Lyons from 2008 to 2017, J.Crew transformed from a preppy catalog brand into a fashion powerhouse that even dressed First Lady Michelle Obama. Its colorful cashmere, statement costume jewelry, and quirky preppy aesthetic created a distinctive look that influenced American style. J.Crew's troubles began with an ill-timed leveraged buyout in 2011 that saddled the company with nearly $2 billion in debt. As the brand attempted to move upmarket with higher prices, it alienated core customers while failing to attract enough luxury shoppers. Quality issues began to plague the once reliable basics, and the distinctive Jenna Lyons look eventually fell out of fashion without a clear new identity to replace it. In May 2020, J.Crew became the first major retailer to file for bankruptcy during the pandemic. While it emerged from bankruptcy later that year, the brand continues to struggle with identity and relevance. Recent attempts to recapture its former glory include bringing back former menswear designer Brendan Babinsian and focusing on quality basics. But J.Crew faces an uphill battle in a crowded market where its once unique position has been eroded by numerous competitors. The brand that once defined American smart casual style now fights to distinguish itself from the crowd. Diesel, the Italian denim brand founded by Renzo Rosso in 1978, was once synonymous with premium jeans and edgy marketing. In the 1990s and early 2000s, Diesel's distinctive denim with its red tab and innovative washes commanded premium prices and enjoyed cult status among fashion-forward consumers. The brand's provocative "For Successful Living" advertising campaigns won numerous awards and cemented its reputation as a boundary-pushing label. Diesel's decline came as premium denim became an increasingly crowded category, with brands like True Religion, 7 for All Mankind, and later, direct-to-consumer companies like Everlane, offering compelling alternatives. The 2008 financial crisis hit luxury denim particularly hard as consumers questioned spending $200 or more on a pair of jeans. Meanwhile, Diesel's attempts to expand into other categories diluted its core identity. By 2019, Diesel USA filed for bankruptcy protection, citing falling sales and expensive leases. While the global brand continues under Rosso's OTB group, it has never recaptured its former cultural cachet. Recent attempts at revitalization include appointing Glenn Martins as creative director and focusing on sustainability. But Diesel faces the challenge of convincing a new generation that its premium denim is worth the price in a market increasingly dominated by more affordable options or true luxury brands. The brand that once made denim aspirational now struggles to stand out in a sea of blue jeans. Juicy Couture represents perhaps the most dramatic rise and fall tied to a specific trend. Founded in 1997 by Pamela Skase-Levy and Gela Nash-Taylor, Juicy became a global phenomenon in the early 2000s with its velour tracksuits featuring the brand name emblazoned across the backside. Celebrities from Paris Hilton to Jennifer Lopez were photographed in the comfortable yet status-signaling loungewear, driving massive demand. At its peak, Juicy Couture was generating over $605 million in annual sales, but the brand became too closely associated with a specific moment in fashion: the blingy, logo-heavy aesthetic of the early 2000s. When fashion moved toward minimalism post-recession, Juicy's tracksuits quickly felt dated. The brand's owners, Liz Claiborne Inc., later Fifth and Pacific, sold Juicy to Authentic Brands Group in 2013 for $195 million, a fraction of its former value. ABG closed all Juicy Couture stores in the US and moved the brand down market to outlets like Kohl's, effectively ending its premium positioning. While Y2K fashion has seen a revival among Gen Z, benefiting Juicy somewhat, the brand has never recaptured its former status. Today, Juicy Couture exists primarily as a licensing operation, with its iconic tracksuit serving as nostalgic reminders of a bygone era rather than current fashion statements. The brand that once defined celebrity casual wear now serves primarily as a case study in the dangers of being too closely tied to a single trend. Topshop, once the crown jewel of British high street fashion, represents the decline of a retail institution. Founded in 1964, Topshop reached its zenith in the 2000s and early 2010s under the leadership of Sir Philip Green's Arcadia Group. The brand was known for translating runway trends into affordable versions at lightning speed, with its Oxford Circus flagship in London serving as a tourist destination and fashion hub. Topshop's unique position came from its ability to feel more premium and fashion-forward than other high street retailers, bolstered by collaborations with Kate Moss and showing at London Fashion Week. However, the brand failed to invest sufficiently in e-commerce as shopping habits changed, while faster and cheaper competitors like ASOS and Boohoo gained ground online. The final blow came when Arcadia Group collapsed into administration in November 2020. A casualty of the pandemic, changing shopping habits and years of underinvestment. ASOS purchased the Topshop brand and intellectual property in 2021, but not its physical stores, ending the brand's high street presence. While Topshop continues as an online-only brand under ASOS, it has lost the unique positioning and cultural relevance it once enjoyed. The fall of Topshop marked the end of an era in British retail and highlighted how quickly even the most established fashion brands can disappear from the physical landscape. Finally, let's look at Esprit, a brand that many younger consumers might not even recognize despite its former global prominence. Founded in 1968 in San Francisco, Esprit reached its peak in the 1980s and 1990s as a colorful, socially conscious alternative to more conservative retailers. Its casual wear featured bright colors, bold graphics, and an optimistic, multicultural ethos that resonated with consumers worldwide. Esprit's decline began in the early 2000s as it lost focus and failed to clearly define its target customer. The brand became caught in a no-man's land, not cheap enough to compete with fast fashion, not premium enough to justify higher prices, and not distinctive enough to command loyalty. By 2012, Esprit had closed all its North American stores, retreating from the very market where it was born. While Esprit continues to operate in Europe and Asia, it has never regained its former prominence. Multiple turnaround attempts have failed to revive the brand, which has struggled with identity and relevance in an increasingly crowded market. In 2020, Esprit announced it would close all its physical stores in Asia outside mainland China, further reducing its global footprint. The brand that once stood for colorful optimism and social consciousness has faded into retail obscurity, remembered more for its vintage pieces than its current offerings. These 10 brands share common threads in their decline: failure to adapt to changing consumer preferences, overexpansion, identity confusion, and the challenge of digital transformation. Some, like Abercrombie & Fitch and J.Crew, are actively fighting for relevance with strategic pivots. Others, like American Apparel and Topshop, exist primarily as online shadows of their former selves. A few, like Esprit, have largely disappeared from the consciousness of American consumers. Their stories serve as cautionary tales for today's retail darlings. No matter how popular a brand becomes, fashion is inherently cyclical, and consumer loyalty can't be taken for granted. The most successful brands manage to evolve while maintaining their core identity. something these fading retailers struggle to accomplish. As we look to the future, it's worth considering which of today's hottest brands might be on tomorrow's endangered list. Will fast fashion giants like Shein face a reckoning as sustainability concerns grow? Could direct-to-consumer darlings lose their edge as they expand into traditional retail? The only certainty in fashion is change itself, and the brands that survive will be those that manage to stay relevant without losing sight of what made them special in the first place. What do you think? Are there any once beloved fashion brands you miss? Or are there current retailers you believe are headed for trouble? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the business of fashion and retail. The luxury sneaker market has undergone a seismic shift in recent years. What was once a booming industry with seemingly endless growth has hit some serious roadblocks. Today, we're looking at 15 luxury sneaker brands that are losing customers at an alarming rate. The landscape has changed dramatically since the pandemic, with shifting consumer preferences, economic uncertainties, and the rise of new competitors all playing a role in this decline. Let's start with the elephant in the room: Balenciaga. Once the darling of the luxury sneaker world, Balenciaga has seen its popularity plummet in recent months. The brand that gave us the Triple S and the Speed trainer shoes that defined an era of luxury streetwear is now struggling to maintain its relevance. Sales have reportedly dropped by over 20% in the last year alone. The controversy surrounding their advertising campaign in late 2022 certainly didn't help matters, but the issues run deeper. The brand's designs have become increasingly outlandish, moving away from the wearable luxury that initially attracted customers. Their prices continue to climb while the perceived value has diminished. A pair of Balenciaga sneakers can now cost upwards of $1,200, a price point that's becoming harder to justify for many consumers who are becoming more value conscious in today's economic climate. Next up is Gucci. Under Alessandro Michele's creative direction, Gucci experienced a renaissance that propelled it to the forefront of luxury fashion. Their ace sneakers and chunky Riton models were must-haves for fashion enthusiasts. However, since Michel's departure in 2022, the brand has struggled to maintain its momentum in the sneaker market. Sales of Gucci footwear reportedly declined by 15% in 2024, with the brand losing ground to both established competitors and emerging labels. The problem seems to be one of identity. Gucci's sneaker designs have become somewhat stagnant, failing to evolve with changing tastes while still commanding premium prices. The brand's heavy reliance on its logo and signature motifs is starting to feel dated in a market that increasingly values subtlety and craftsmanship over obvious branding. Louis Vuitton, despite its status as the world's most valuable luxury brand, is also experiencing challenges in the sneaker category. The passing of Virgil Abloh, who revolutionized the brand's approach to streetwear and sneakers, left a significant void. While LV's overall business remains strong, its sneaker division has seen declining interest, particularly among younger consumers who were drawn to Abloh's innovative designs. The LV trainer, once a grail item for sneakerheads, has lost some of its luster, with resale values dropping significantly. The brand's attempt to maintain relevance with collaborations hasn't quite captured the magic of the Abloh era, and customers are increasingly looking elsewhere for their luxury sneaker fix. Prada, known for its minimalist approach to luxury, is another brand facing declining sneaker sales. They're America's cup sneaker, a staple since the late 1990s, and more recent models like the Cloud Bust have seen waning interest. Prada's sneaker offerings, while beautifully crafted, have failed to create the same cultural impact as some of their competitors. The brand's focus on understated luxury doesn't always translate well in a sneaker market often driven by bold designs and hype. Additionally, Prada's price points, typically starting around $850 for a basic sneaker, are increasingly being questioned by consumers who can find similar aesthetic qualities in more affordable alternatives. Versace's sneaker division is also struggling to maintain relevance. The Italian house, known for its bold, Baroque-inspired designs, has failed to create a signature sneaker that resonates with today's market. Their chain reaction sneaker had a moment of popularity but quickly faded from the spotlight. Versace's sneaker offerings often feel disconnected from current trends, either too flashy or not distinctive enough to justify their premium pricing. The brand's sneaker sales have reportedly declined by over 25% in the past year, a concerning trend for a house that's trying to appeal to younger luxury consumers. Alexander McQueen's oversized sneaker was once ubiquitous in the luxury sneaker space. The clean white design with an exaggerated sole became something of a uniform for the fashion-conscious. However, the brand has struggled to move beyond this once successful model. As the chunky sneaker trend has begun to wane, so too has interest in McQueen's footwear offerings. The brand hasn't successfully introduced a follow-up hit, and the oversized sneaker, while still selling, no longer commands the same premium in the resale market. This over-reliance on a single design has left the brand vulnerable as tastes evolve. Valentino's Garavani sneaker line, particularly the Rockstud and Open models, is another casualty of changing preferences. The brand's sneakers, which often incorporate their signature studs and bold branding, have seen declining sales as consumers move away from overtly branded luxury items. Valentino's sneaker designs haven't evolved significantly in recent years, and the brand has struggled to capture the attention of the streetwear community that drives much of the luxury sneaker market. With prices starting at around $700 and climbing well above $1,000, consumers are increasingly questioning the value proposition of Valentino's offerings. Givenchy, under Matthew Williams' creative direction, attempted to establish itself as a serious player in the luxury sneaker market with models like the Spectre and TK360. However, these designs failed to achieve the cultural impact the brand was hoping for. Givenchy's sneaker sales have reportedly declined by over 30% in the past year, one of the steepest drops in the luxury sector. The brand's footwear often feels caught between traditional luxury aesthetics and streetwear influences, not fully committing to either direction. This lack of a clear identity has made it difficult for Givenchy to establish a loyal customer base for its sneaker offerings. Fendi's sneaker division is another area where we're seeing significant customer loss. Despite attempts to create distinctive designs with models like the Flow and the Fendi Mania, the brand hasn't managed to create the same level of desire for its footwear as it has for its bags and ready-to-wear collections. Fendi sneakers often feel like an afterthought rather than a core part of the brand's identity. With prices comparable to other luxury houses, but without the same cultural cachet in the sneaker world, Fendi is struggling to justify its position in this competitive market. Burberry's sneaker offerings have also seen declining interest. The British heritage brand, which has undergone several creative transitions in recent years, has failed to establish a consistent sneaker identity. Models like the Arthur and the Union have had moments of popularity, but haven't become staples in the luxury sneaker conversation. Burberry's footwear sales have reportedly declined by around 18% in the past year, reflecting the brand's struggle to connect with sneaker enthusiasts. The brand's traditional check pattern, while iconic in other categories, hasn't translated effectively to contemporary sneaker designs. Dior, despite the massive success of its Air Jordan collaboration in 2020, has struggled to maintain momentum in its mainline sneaker offerings. The B23 and B27 models, while initially popular, have seen declining interest as the market becomes saturated with similar designs. Dior's sneaker pricing, which starts around $1,000 and can exceed $1,500, is increasingly being questioned by consumers who can find comparable quality and design at lower price points. The brand's heavy reliance on its monogram pattern across its sneaker line has also begun to feel repetitive, failing to offer the innovation that today's consumers expect. Balmain, under Olivier Rousteing's direction, made a strong push into the luxury sneaker market with models like the Be-Bold and Unicorn. However, the brand's distinctive aesthetic, often featuring bold colors, heavy embellishments, and chunky silhouettes, has fallen out of favor as tastes shift toward more understated designs. Balmain's sneaker sales have reportedly declined by over 20% in the past year, with the brand struggling to attract new customers to its footwear offerings. The brand's high price points, typically starting around $900, have become increasingly difficult to justify in a market where consumers are becoming more discerning about value. Saint Laurent, under Anthony Vaccarello's creative direction, has maintained a more understated approach to sneakers with models like the Court Classic and the Andy. However, this subtlety has made it difficult for the brand to stand out in a market often driven by distinctive designs. Saint Laurent's sneaker sales have reportedly declined by around 15% in the past year, with the brand losing ground to both more established sneaker players and emerging labels. The brand's pricing, which is premium even by luxury standards, has become increasingly challenging to justify for designs that don't offer significant differentiation from more affordable alternatives. Moncler, primarily known for its outerwear, has attempted to expand its footprint in the luxury sneaker market with limited success. Models like the Leave No Trace and the Bubble have failed to create significant traction with consumers. The brand's sneaker designs often feel disconnected from its core identity, lacking the distinctive elements that make Moncler's jackets instantly recognizable. With prices starting around $600 and climbing above $1,000 for some models, consumers are increasingly questioning the value proposition of Moncler's footwear offerings, leading to a reported decline in sales of over 25% in the past year. Finally, we have Giuseppe Zanotti, a brand that was once synonymous with luxury sneakers. The Italian designer's bold, often embellished designs were favorites among celebrities and fashion enthusiasts alike. However, the brand has struggled to evolve with changing taste. Zanotti sneakers, which often feature metallic accents, zippers, and patent leather, feel increasingly disconnected from current trends that favor more understated, versatile designs. The brand's sales have reportedly declined by over 30% in the past year, one of the steepest drops in the luxury sneaker market. So, what's behind this widespread decline? Several factors are at play. First, there's the economic reality. With inflation and economic uncertainty affecting even affluent consumers, the proposition of spending $1,000 or more on sneakers is being more carefully evaluated. Consumers are asking tougher questions about value and longevity, areas where many luxury brands struggle to provide convincing answers. Second, there's a shift in aesthetic preferences. The era of maximalist, logo-heavy designs that dominated the luxury sneaker market for years is giving way to more understated, versatile options. Brands that built their sneaker identities around bold, distinctive designs are finding it challenging to pivot to this new reality without losing their core identity. Third, there's increased competition from both ends of the market. On one side, traditional athletic brands like Nike and Adidas have elevated their premium offerings, creating designs that rival luxury houses in terms of quality and desirability, but at lower price points. On the other side, a new wave of luxury sneaker brands focused specifically on craftsmanship and quality. Brands like Common Projects, Axel Arigato, and Koyo are offering compelling alternatives to traditional luxury houses at somewhat more accessible price points. Fourth, there's the sustainability factor. Today's consumers, particularly younger ones, are increasingly concerned about the environmental and ethical implications of their purchases. Many luxury sneaker brands have been slow to address these concerns, continuing to use traditional materials and production methods, while newer, more nimble competitors emphasize sustainability as a core value. Finally, there's the challenge of innovation. Many luxury brands have become complacent, relying on established designs and brand recognition rather than pushing boundaries. In a market driven by novelty and the constant search for the next big thing, this approach is increasingly problematic. What does the future hold for these struggling luxury sneaker brands? The path forward isn't simple, but there are potential strategies that could help reverse their declining fortunes. First, there's a need for authentic innovation. Not just superficial changes to existing designs, but genuinely new approaches that reflect changing consumer preferences while maintaining brand identity. Second, there's an opportunity to emphasize craftsmanship and quality. As consumers become more discerning, brands that can convincingly demonstrate superior materials and construction may be able to justify their premium pricing. This might mean more transparency about production processes and materials, as well as a greater emphasis on durability and longevity. Third, there's the sustainability imperative. Luxury brands that can authentically incorporate sustainable practices into their sneaker production, using recycled materials, reducing waste, improving working conditions, may find a receptive audience among increasingly conscious consumers. Fourth, there's the potential for more meaningful collaborations. Rather than simply putting two logos on a product, collaborations that bring together diverse perspectives and result in genuinely innovative designs could help reinvigorate interest in struggling brands. Finally, there's the question of pricing. While luxury brands are understandably reluctant to lower prices for fear of diluting their premium positioning, there may be opportunities to create more accessible entry points without compromising overall brand perception. This could involve introducing simpler designs at somewhat lower price points while maintaining premium offerings for the most exclusive models. The luxury sneaker market isn't disappearing, but it is evolving rapidly. Brands that can adapt to changing consumer preferences, demonstrate genuine value, and offer something truly distinctive will likely weather this current storm. Those that continue to rely on past successes and fail to innovate may find themselves permanently sidelined in this increasingly competitive landscape. What's clear is that the days of easy growth in the luxury sneaker market are over. Consumers are more discerning, more value conscious, and more willing to look beyond established luxury houses for their footwear. The brands that recognize and respond to this new reality will be the ones that survive and potentially thrive in the years to come. The others may find themselves relegated to the footnotes of fashion history, cautionary tales of what happens when brands fail to evolve with their customers. The world of luxury fashion has always been driven by exclusivity, craftsmanship, and prestige. But in today's rapidly evolving market, even the most iconic luxury brands can fall from grace. Today, I'm revealing 15 luxury clothing brands that have lost their luster and are no longer the status symbols they once were. Remember when owning these labels meant something? Well, times have drastically changed. First up, Gucci. Once the epitome of Italian luxury, Gucci has suffered from overexposure and logo fatigue. The brand's excessive visibility on social media, counterfeits flooding the market, and Alessandro Michele's departure in 2022 led to a 14% revenue decline in 2023. Their signature GG monogram, once coveted, is now viewed by luxury connoisseurs as too accessible and flashy. The younger generation of high-end shoppers is gravitating toward more understated luxury brands like Bottega Veneta and The Row. Michael Kors has experienced one of the most dramatic falls from luxury status. Their aggressive expansion into outlet stores and mid-tier department stores decimated their exclusivity. The brand that once competed with luxury houses now sits alongside mass-market labels. Their handbags, previously priced at $300 to $500, can now be found for under $150 at outlet malls across America. Industry analysts report a 23% decrease in brand perception value among affluent consumers since 2020. Burberry's iconic check pattern has become a victim of its own success. The British heritage brand struggled with counterfeiting and association with chav culture in the UK, diluting its prestige. Despite creative director Daniel Lee's attempts to revitalize the brand, Burberry reported a 5% sales decline in 2024, with Chinese luxury consumers, once their biggest market, shifting to French and Italian luxury houses. Their attempt to move upmarket has left them in a no-man's land, too expensive for middle-class consumers but not exclusive enough for the ultra-wealthy. Coach, once America's premier luxury leather goods brand, has suffered from brand dilution through outlet proliferation. Their market strategy of making their products more accessible has backfired, with the brand losing 37% of its high-net-worth customers since 2018. Despite quality craftsmanship, Coach is now perceived as a starter luxury brand that affluent consumers graduate from, not aspire to. Ralph Lauren, the epitome of American luxury, has struggled to maintain relevance with younger audiences. Their preppy, country club aesthetic feels outdated in today's fashion landscape. With 45% of their revenue still coming from department stores, a dying retail channel, the brand faces an uncertain future. Their average customer age has crept up to 52, indicating failure to capture the next generation of luxury consumers. Once the king of teen luxury, Abercrombie & Fitch has completely fallen from its pedestal. Their dimly lit stores with shirtless models and overwhelming cologne are a relic of the 2000s. After numerous controversies including discriminatory hiring practices and their ex-CEO's inappropriate comments, the brand attempted a rebrand in 2017. However, for luxury shoppers, the damage was irreparable. Their luxury positioning has evaporated, with 72% of consumers now categorizing them as a mall brand, not a luxury label. Calvin Klein has suffered from an identity crisis since designer Raf Simons' departure in 2018. Once revolutionizing the fashion industry with minimalist designs and provocative campaigns, Calvin Klein has become mostly a fragrance and underwear brand. Their ready-to-wear collections no longer generate buzz on Fashion Week runways, and their parent company PVH reported a 15% decline in Calvin Klein's premium collections in 2024. Dolce & Gabbana's series of controversial missteps have alienated luxury consumers, particularly in Asia. Their disastrous 2018 campaign in China, perceived as culturally insensitive, resulted in an estimated $500 million in lost revenue. While they've attempted to rehabilitate their image, industry insiders note that wealthy Chinese consumers, who drive 35% of global luxury sales, continue to boycott the brand, with sales in the region down 68% from pre-controversy levels. Prada, despite its storied heritage, has struggled to maintain its uniqueness in a crowded luxury market. The brand's minimalist aesthetic has been widely copied by fast fashion retailers, diluting its distinctive appeal. While their nylon re-edition bags briefly captured attention, Prada's overall market share has declined by 8% since 2022, with consumers citing lack of innovation and poor value proposition in luxury market surveys. True Religion, once commanding $300 or more for a pair of jeans in the early 2000s, filed for bankruptcy twice and has never recaptured its luxury status. Their distinctive horseshoe pocket design and thick stitching now feel dated rather than distinctive. Market data shows that 83% of luxury consumers no longer consider True Religion a luxury brand, with their average price point falling 65% since their peak. Fendi, despite being part of the powerful LVMH conglomerate, has been overshadowed by sister brands like Louis Vuitton and Dior. Their iconic baguette bag had a brief revival thanks to a Carrie Bradshaw moment in the Sex and the City reboot. But the brand has struggled to create new iconic products. Industry analysts note that Fendi captures only 4% of first-time luxury buyers compared to 23% for Louis Vuitton, indicating declining aspiration value. Versace has faced identity issues since being acquired by Michael Kors' parent company Capri Holdings in 2018. The brand's Mediterranean-inspired glamour feels increasingly disconnected from modern luxury aesthetics that favor subtlety. Their attempt to maintain Donatella Versace's flamboyant vision while pursuing commercial growth has resulted in a confused brand message, with sales growing only 2% in 2024 compared to 18% for competitors in the same luxury segment. Diesel, once pioneering premium denim, has been unable to maintain its position as casual luxury. Despite creative director Glenn Martin's bringing renewed attention through viral runway moments, the brand's commercial collections fail to justify luxury price points. Consumer perception studies reveal that only 12% of luxury shoppers now classify Diesel as a luxury brand, down from 48% in 2010. DKNY has completely lost its brand distinctiveness after founder Donna Karan's departure. Once representing sophisticated urban luxury, DKNY has been reduced to a mid-market label found in outlet stores. Their parent company G3 Apparel Group reported that DKNY's performance lags behind their other brands, with market analysts estimating a 40% decline in brand value since 2015. Finally, Tommy Hilfiger has struggled with younger luxury demographics. Their association with 90s fashion temporarily helped during the vintage revival, but Gen Z luxury consumers rank Tommy Hilfiger 23rd among luxury brands in desirability, compared to 7th with millennials. Their attempts to capitalize on nostalgia through collaborations with Zendaya and Lewis Hamilton provided temporary boosts, but failed to cement long-term luxury credibility. So what's driving this luxury brand decline? Overexposure on social media, expansion into mass markets, the rise of quiet luxury, direct-to-consumer disruptors like Loro Piana, and changing consumer values all play a role. Today's luxury consumers seek authenticity, sustainability, and uniqueness, qualities many heritage brands have sacrificed for growth. For these once mighty luxury houses, the path back to prestige is fraught with challenges. Some may reinvent themselves for a new era, while others will permanently lose their luxury status. But one thing is certain. In luxury fashion, exclusivity lost is nearly impossible to regain. The luxury fashion industry is experiencing a seismic shift unlike anything we have seen before. Once untouchable brands that symbolized wealth, exclusivity, and status are now facing unprecedented financial challenges. Today, we are diving into 15 luxury clothing brands that are hemorrhaging billions at an alarming rate. What is particularly fascinating is that this is not just about the pandemic aftermath, it is a perfect storm of changing consumer preferences, digital transformation failures, and strategic missteps that have left even the most established fashion houses vulnerable. Let's start with Burberry, the iconic British luxury brand known for its distinctive check pattern and trench coats. Burberry has seen its market value plummet by over $2.3 billion in the past year alone. The brand's attempts to reposition itself under new creative director Daniel Lee haven't resonated with consumers as expected. Their latest quarterly results showed a 10% drop in comparable store sales, with particularly concerning performance in the crucial Chinese market, where sales declined by 15%. Burberry's struggle highlights a broader issue facing luxury brands: the delicate balance between heritage and innovation. Push too far in either direction, and you risk alienating either your loyal customer base or failing to attract new consumers. Next up is Kering, the luxury conglomerate that owns Gucci, Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta, and Balenciaga. While the entire group is struggling, Gucci is the most concerning component. Once the darling of the luxury industry under creative director Alessandro Michele, Gucci has seen its sales decline by 18% in the first quarter of 2025. This represents approximately $1.8 billion in lost revenue compared to its peak performance. The brand's maximalist aesthetic that once captivated consumers has fallen out of favor, and its transition to a more timeless approach under new creative director Sabato De Sarno hasn't yet gained traction. Kering's market capitalization has decreased by nearly $25 billion over the past 2 years, making it one of the worst performing luxury stocks. Balenciaga, another Kering brand, deserves special mention. Following a series of controversial advertising campaigns in late 2022 that appeared to sexualize children, the brand faced intense backlash. This PR disaster, combined with creative director Demna Gvasalia's increasingly polarizing designs, has resulted in an estimated 20% drop in annual revenue. The brand that was once considered the coolest in fashion is now struggling to rebuild consumer trust and relevance. Moving on to Prada, the Italian luxury house has experienced a 12% decline in sales in the first half of 2025, representing approximately $400 million in lost revenue. While Prada's sister brand Miu Miu has been performing exceptionally well thanks to viral micro-mini skirts and ballet flats, it hasn't been enough to offset the decline in the main line. Prada's attempts to reduce its reliance on wholesale channels and focus on direct-to-consumer sales have created short-term pain that investors are struggling to look beyond. Ralph Lauren, once the definitive American luxury brand, has seen its market value decrease by $1.2 billion over the past year. The brand's identity crisis, trying to maintain its luxury positioning while still operating numerous diffusion lines and outlet stores, has diluted its prestige. Ralph Lauren's revenue in the luxury segment specifically has declined by 8% year over year, as consumers increasingly question whether the brand truly belongs in the luxury category alongside European powerhouses. Salvatore Ferragamo, the Italian luxury shoe and leather goods brand, has experienced one of the most dramatic declines. The company's market value has decreased by over 40% in the past 2 years, representing approximately $1.5 billion in lost shareholder value. Ferragamo's inability to attract younger consumers and its over-reliance on formal footwear in an increasingly casual world has left it struggling to find relevance. The brand's attempts to revitalize under creative director Maximilian Davis have yet to translate into financial results. Tod's, another Italian luxury brand known for its driving shoes and leather goods, has seen its revenue decline by 11% in the past year. The brand's focus on timeless, understated luxury has failed to generate excitement in a market increasingly driven by viral moments and social media presence. Tod's has recently been taken private by the founding family and LVMH, a move that acknowledges the significant restructuring needed away from public market scrutiny. Hugo Boss, the German luxury brand, has experienced a 15% drop in its share price over the past 6 months, wiping out approximately $800 million in market value. The brand's attempt to reposition itself with a more youthful image and separate Boss and Hugo lines has confused consumers and diluted its identity. Hugo Boss's formal wear heritage has become a liability in a post-pandemic world where dress codes have become increasingly casual. Brunello Cucinelli, often considered the king of quiet luxury, has seen its stock decline by 18% in 2025, despite being perfectly positioned for the current trend toward understated wealth signaling. The brand's extremely high price points have become difficult to justify even for wealthy consumers in an inflationary environment. With cashmere sweaters starting at $2,000 and simple t-shirts at $700, the brand is testing the limits of what even the affluent are willing to pay for basics. Richemont, the luxury conglomerate that owns Cartier, Van Cleef, and Arpels, and numerous fashion brands including Chloe and Alaya, has seen its fashion division struggle significantly. While its jewelry houses continue to perform well, Richemont's fashion brands have collectively seen a 14% decline in revenue, representing approximately $600 million in lost sales. The company has been unable to replicate the success of its hard luxury businesses in the more trend-dependent soft luxury segment. Capri Holdings, which owns Versace, Jimmy Choo, and Michael Kors, has seen its market value decline by over 30% in the past year, representing approximately $2 billion in lost shareholder value. The company's attempt to elevate Michael Kors into the luxury space has largely failed, while Versace and Jimmy Choo haven't grown quickly enough to offset this decline. Capri's recent acquisition by Tapestry, owner of Coach and Kate Spade, signals the end of its independent luxury ambitions. Burberry isn't the only British luxury brand facing challenges. Mulberry, known for its leather goods, has seen its revenue decline by 17% in the past year. The brand's attempts to position itself as a more accessible luxury option have backfired, as consumers increasingly gravitate toward either true luxury or premium contemporary brands, leaving Mulberry caught in an uncomfortable middle ground. The company's market capitalization has decreased by approximately 40% over the past 2 years. Ermenegildo Zegna, the Italian luxury menswear brand that went public via SPAC in 2021, has seen its share price decline by 25% since its listing. The brand's focus on formal menswear has become challenging in a post-pandemic environment, and its attempts to diversify through the acquisition of Thom Browne haven't yet delivered the expected results. Zegna's revenue has declined by 7% in the past year, representing approximately $150 million in lost sales. Moncler, the Italian luxury outerwear brand, has seen its stock decline by 20% in 2025, despite being one of the most successful luxury stories of the past decade. The brand's heavy reliance on a single product category, luxury puffer jackets, has become a vulnerability as climate change leads to milder winters in many key markets. Moncler's attempts to diversify beyond outerwear haven't yet gained significant traction with consumers. Finally, Bally, the Swiss luxury brand known for its shoes and accessories, has seen its revenue decline by an estimated 15% in the past year. The brand's lack of a clear creative direction and identity has left it struggling to stand out in an increasingly crowded luxury marketplace. Bally's parent company, Jab Holding, has reportedly been exploring options to divest the brand after years of underperformance. So, what's behind this widespread decline in the luxury fashion industry? Several factors are converging to create a perfect storm. First, the post-pandemic luxury boom has definitively ended. During 2021 and 2022, luxury brands benefited from pent-up demand and consumers redirecting travel budgets toward tangible goods. That exceptional period has now normalized, leaving many brands with unrealistic growth expectations. Second, the Chinese consumer, who has driven much of luxury's growth over the past decade, is pulling back. China's economic slowdown, youth unemployment, and property market challenges have led to more cautious spending. Additionally, Chinese consumers are increasingly supporting domestic luxury brands rather than Western ones, a trend accelerated by rising nationalism and geopolitical tensions. Third, luxury brands have failed to adapt to the digital transformation at the pace required. While e-commerce adoption was accelerated during the pandemic, many luxury brands still treat their digital channels as secondary to their physical retail experiences. This approach is increasingly out of step with how consumers, particularly younger ones, want to engage with brands. Fourth, there's been a significant shift in what consumers value in luxury. The ostentatious logos and conspicuous consumption that drove luxury growth in the 2010s have given way to a preference for understated quality and sustainability. Many brands have been slow to adapt to this shift, continuing to rely on logo-heavy products that no longer resonate with evolving consumer preferences. Fifth, the rise of the second-hand luxury market has created unprecedented competition for new products. Platforms like The RealReal, Vestiaire Collective, and even eBay have made it easier than ever for consumers to purchase pre-owned luxury goods at significant discounts. This circular economy is particularly appealing to younger consumers who are both price-sensitive and environmentally conscious. Sixth, luxury brands have struggled with the tension between exclusivity and growth. Public markets demand continuous expansion, but true luxury requires scarcity and exclusivity. This fundamental contradiction has led many brands to overexpand, diluting their prestige in pursuit of quarterly results. What strategies are these struggling luxury brands employing to reverse their fortunes? Some are doubling down on their heritage, focusing on timeless products rather than chasing trends. Others are attempting radical reinventions, bringing in new creative directors and completely overhauling their aesthetic. Several are investing heavily in digital transformation, recognizing that the luxury customer journey now spans both physical and digital touchpoints. Many brands are also reconsidering their pricing strategies. After years of aggressive price increases that far outpaced inflation, some luxury houses are holding prices steady or even introducing more accessible entry-level products to attract new customers. Others are going in the opposite direction, elevating their positioning even further to target ultra-high net worth individuals who remain insulated from economic pressures. Sustainability has become another key battleground. Brands like Kering have made significant investments in sustainable materials and transparent supply chains, recognizing that today's luxury consumers increasingly demand ethical production. However, these investments are costly and often take years to deliver tangible results, creating short-term financial pressure. The luxury fashion industry is also seeing unprecedented consolidation. LVMH, despite its own challenges with brands like Louis Vuitton and Dior experiencing slowing growth, continues to acquire struggling independent luxury houses. Kering is reportedly looking for acquisitions to reduce its reliance on Gucci. This consolidation is likely to accelerate as smaller luxury brands find it increasingly difficult to compete independently. What does this mean for the future of luxury fashion? The industry is likely entering a period of significant transformation. The brands that will emerge strongest are those that can balance heritage with innovation, exclusivity with accessibility, and physical retail excellence with digital transformation. They will need to create genuine connections with consumers based on shared values rather than just status signaling. We're also likely to see a clearer separation between true luxury and premium brands. The masstige segment, mass prestige products that mimic luxury at more accessible price points, is particularly vulnerable as consumers become more discerning about what constitutes genuine luxury. For consumers, these changes present both challenges and opportunities. On one hand, the democratization of luxury through second-hand markets and digital channels means that more people than ever can access luxury products. On the other hand, true luxury may become even more exclusive and expensive as brands focus on their highest-spending clients. For investors, the luxury sector no longer offers the reliable growth and margins it once did. Selecting winners will require a nuanced understanding of brand equity, digital capabilities, and changing consumer preferences rather than simply betting on the sector as a whole. The luxury fashion industry has weathered many storms throughout its history, from world wars to economic depressions to changing social attitudes toward conspicuous consumption. The current challenges, while significant, are unlikely to spell the end of luxury fashion. Instead, they will accelerate an evolution that was already underway, separating the truly innovative and adaptable brands from those relying too heavily on past glory. What's your take on the future of luxury fashion? Are you still willing to pay premium prices for luxury brands, or are you exploring alternatives like secondhand luxury or premium contemporary brands? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the business of fashion.